And we're live. It is Wednesday evening. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Joe. Welcome, Daryl. Thanks for joining me, gentlemen.
Thank you for having.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
No problem. To bring everyone up to speed, well, there's not enough people watching. I'll wait till a couple more people join, and then I'll update everyone on the status of the Wednesday from the basement live stream. Until we get a few more people, how are you guys doing? Everything good? Everything? Nothing exciting?
Yeah, no, good. Just got back from camping. Yeah, I know. But you know what? It's not just the sitting there part of it. It's all the other exploring parts to the camping as well.
Exploring what? The
Uh,
wilderness?
like stuff, as an example, we were in Middle Saskatchewan. Duck Mountain is the place.
There's
So,
no fucking mountains in Saskatchewan.
well, they call it a mountain. I don't care what
It's not even a hill, it's a knoll.
There's a hump. You can't
Bullshit.
see the other side. No, there's a hump.
Please. All right, anyway, continue on.
Anyway, so from there we went out and we explored different stuff. There was the Doukhobor Museum, which is kind of cool. Like we like doing that type of stuff, historical type of stuff. There was the highest point in Manitoba was about an hour away, which again is just a place up a hill, but we like doing that stuff. We like doing the geocaching stuff as well. Sitting at the beach, watching the waves go by, canoeing, kayaking, that type of stuff a little bit. So it's not just the sitting outside our camper part that we partake in camping.
The highest point did you know this? The highest point in Saskatchewan is anytime you stand on a ladder.
It's damn close.
Yeah.
But fun fact, I've been to the highest point now in Saskatchewan and the highest point in Manitoba. And I'm not positive. I wasn't in Ontario. There was some higher spots that we went through last year on top of Superior, but I wasn't there. I looked it up, so haven't been there. And then been in the Rockies, and so I've got BC and Alberta covered, but probably not the highest. But I've been Cypress Hills, Saskatchewan is the highest in Saskatchewan, and a place called Baldy Mountain, which was named before I got there.
We got three of us here tonight with the same haircut.
Exactly, just
I go to the same barber.
Is the highest point in Manitoba. So that's part of the camping for us as well. Plus the outdoors and the birds and the bees. And
so your camping's not like a tent. You're like camping.
Oh, hell no.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
well,
we've got like full blown camper and heat if we need it, and running water. And
I could maybe manage that. I mean, that's slumming it, but I could maybe survive if I had those amenities. But
yeah. Well, you were in Niagara Falls, right?
I was on holidays last week, and it was kind of a staycation. Just had a week of holidays to use up, and I figured I would use it before my son went back to school. So we just did a week of just activities every day, just things that the three of us did as a family. One day we went go-karting, another day we went and played laser tag. One day we went to Niagara Falls. I have been to Niagara Falls 500 times. I'm there almost every other week. It's not a big deal. I drive by the falls and I don't even look because
they're there.
It's nothing to me, right? But I sort of looked at it through different lens. My son's 8. He's been a couple times, but we went and did some of the things because Niagara Falls is incredibly touristy. There's Clifton Hill, which is all kinds of like wax museums and Ferris wheels and all that kind of shit. But then there's a lot of other really cool stuff to do, Maid of the Mist and the jet boats. And, there's a lot. You could spend 3 or 4 days there doing all the stuff. But we went and did a couple things that we hadn't done before. There's a thing called the Whitewater Walk, and it's a little further down the Niagara River from the falls. And you got to go down an elevator 800 feet or some crazy amount. I don't know if it's 800, several hundred feet. And there's a boardwalk along the bottom of the gorge, and it goes along these Class 6 rapids to the whirlpool. And it's kind of cool. I've never been down there before. And then there's a place called the Skylon Tower, which is, think of it like a miniature version of the CN Tower.
Right.
And it's right above the Horseshoe Falls. And it's, 800 and something feet up. And there's a revolving restaurant up there. So we went up there and had dinner. And it was just kind of a fun a fun day. And Joe, having said, "Oh, it's one of those places I got to get to one of these days," I sent you a couple of pictures when I was there because
Yeah.
I was thinking of you while I was there because I shouldn't take it for granted because there's a lot of people that have never seen it before. So
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. That's the thing. I was down east. Well, obviously we were in Ottawa last year. We've talked about that before. I was in Toronto and Kingston and that ish part of the world when I was, I think, 10 or 12, something like that. And we were supposed to go. I don't know why we didn't. We never did. So yeah, other than pictures and video, that's about the only thing I've seen of it. And I like that kind of stuff. Not necessarily
cool.
the touristy part of it.
No,
I mean,
no.
I'm good in Vegas too. I can do the touristy part.
Sure.
But the other stuff that you mentioned would be fun, I think.
It's cool, and it's one of those things. If you haven't done it, you should do it at some point in time. So,
And we will.
Daryl,
I want to do the go-karting next time I go to the falls. We were there last summer, not this summer, but we were there last
They
summer.
got that sort of Mario Kart one, right, where it spirals up and you do the loop. And
it's the one that's right on Clifton Hill there.
Yep.
And,
we didn't do that one this time. We've done it before. It's cool, but it's not near the best go-kart track I've been to because you spend more time going up that spiral than you do doing anything else, and you can't really go. Even though you got your pedal to the floor, it doesn't feel like you're going fast up that spiral. It looks cool until you actually drive it, and then you're kind of like, it's all right. There are way better go-kart tracks out there.
Yeah, we always have a fun time when we go to the falls. The only thing that was a complete, for me, the worst part of Niagara Falls I had last summer was the Rainforest Cafe. That was awful while I was there.
Oh yeah,
brutal.
Yeah. I stay away from kind of anything on Clifton because I've done all that wax museums and all that shit. We wanted to go on the jet boats because you get in these jet boats and they take you up the Class 6 rapids. But my 8-year-old kind of went, no,
Not yet.
Not yet.
Give me a couple of years and maybe we'll talk about that, Dad. Yeah.
Exactly. So it was a fun day, a fun week, a fun day, kept him busy. So Richard's asking, are there any record shops in Niagara Falls? And I have no idea. I've never looked. I probably should look. It's funny because normally when I was in vacation mode, so I wasn't thinking about it. And when I'm there every few weeks, I'm there for work. And when I'm thinking about work, I go so many places that I never think of. I should go see if there's a record shop in this city. Shame on me. Maybe that's a good thing because I spend a little bit less then. If I was going to record shops every city I was in, I'd probably be in a little more trouble. Yeah.
Yep.
So how's your summer going, Daryl?
Yeah, no, my summer. Well, I've mentioned this, I think, on my channel before. I am a high school teacher, so I just started work again. Up where I live, we start high school at about a week and a half earlier than Southern Ontario. So you guys start right after the long weekend. The reason being is in October, I actually technically get 2 March breaks, I guess you would say. I get one in October. And up here, we call them hunt breaks. So a lot of the kids go hunting with their families and stuff. So we get a week off in October. We get one in March.
Nice.
So I just went back to work, but summer's been really good. I can't really complain. The only thing I can complain about is the price of gas up in Moosonee is awful. So I missed that from when I was down south.
What's the price of gas up there?
$2.50 a liter plus tax because they don't include the tax on the pump.
Oh my God.
Because of the status.
Holy
So
shit.
you're really
What's
looking
out
around-
there in Regina, Joe?
We're about 169, just over the border, because like I said, we were right on the border of Manitoba. And when we did go in, I got gas in Swan River. It was 135 because I think that they've taken all of their taxes out. So yeah, it was usually, and then we were in Alberta earlier this year, and it was about the same as Saskatchewan. And normally it's cheaper, so it was quite the pleasant surprise to find Manitoba at, I think, about 135 is what it was.
We're about $1.60 here in Ontario, and for our American friends, it's 3.78 liters to a gallon. So at $1.60, you're about $6.50 a gallon for our American friends. So
yeah,
it ain't cheap. So
Minneapolis was 350,
Yeah.
60-ish, something like that when we were there. So it wasn't too bad actually. So
I am very, very fortunate in that I drive a company vehicle and the company pays the gas. So aside from the limited amount of gas we put in my wife's vehicle, I haven't bought a tank of gas for myself in 18 years. So
yeah, it's good. Yeah.
I'm quite
Nice.
thankful for that. So
Yeah, that's a good thing. So
it's
that's awesome.
yeah, I have a good employer that way. Welcome, Music Sanctuary, and this is a great segue. Another panelist and everyone. So to bring everybody up to speed, Sam and Alex have retired from the Wednesday night live stream. Don't worry, we parted on great company. We're still friends. Sam and I actually did a live stream yesterday at lunch to discuss the breaking news of the Oasis reunion, with which Sam and I are both beyond excited, would be an understatement. So it's all good. Alex has work commitments that prohibit him from joining regularly, and so does Sam. So rather, they felt that they didn't want to commit to being here every single Wednesday because they couldn't be, and then I'd have to scramble to find guest hosts and that kind of thing. So they are, and they know this, they're always welcome, and you may see them pop in from time to time. But for now, it's the Rob and Joe show, and Daryl has been so kind to join us, and we'll see how things go along the way. If we can find others that want to join Joe and I on a regular basis, that's who knows. Daryl, the invitation's there. If you like how things go, you're welcome to join us, man, on a regular basis. But also no pressure. So it's the Rob and Joe and guests show from now on. So that's the state of affairs, folks. So hopefully the viewership just doesn't screw those guys. We're here for Sam's good looks and Alex's witty humor.
Exactly.
Now they're stuck with you and me, Joe. So
you're gonna have to come up with something. I don't know what, but okay, because you mentioned it, and I'm becoming of the age where if I don't say stuff right away, I forget what the hell I was gonna say. So 2 questions. First off, and let me ask them both, and then you can answer if that's okay.
Sure.
Thoughts on the Oasis reunion, or do you want to save that for your video?
No. We've already done a live stream on. I'm happy to talk.
So that's one. And then, so obviously I know you're excited, but B, how long do you think it will last? Do you think they'll make it through the 14, and will there be more? That's one question. And then the other is, did you go to, and I don't think so because you never mentioned it, was it not Blue Rodeo and Matt Mays somewhere close, like last night or the night before?
Yes, they play. I'll answer that question first. They played Molson Amphitheater because Blue Rodeo plays there every single summer. No, I did not go.
Yeah.
Wanted to, but I didn't because I like the amphitheater, but I hate going to the amphitheater. It's an absolute pain in the ass to get to.
Sure.
And to me, that's the perfect concert. Matt Mays, Blue Rodeo, my 2 favorite Canadian acts.
Exactly.
Slam dunk. But I went, yeah, I've seen Blue Rodeo 51 times now. And I've seen Matt Mays like a dozen, and I'll see them again. I'm going to see Tim Cuddy next month. So, I just kind of passed on it because I'm like, I got other things to do. And that was the week we were doing family stuff. So I passed on it, but it would have been a hell of a show. And by all accounts, it was a good show. I had a lot of friends that were there. So
good.
One of the things I actually want to do is Matt Mays lives not too far from me, about 45 minutes away. And he has a place called the Lost Mile Farm. It's in Ancaster, Ontario. And he hosts concerts in his barn. And you can buy a ticket to go see a concert in Matt's barn. He didn't do as many this year because his partner had brain cancer, and they had to deal with that. And she's had surgery and recovering and all that. So he's just started them up again. I don't know if I'll go to any this fall or not, but I'll definitely go next year because that'll be pretty cool. I'd like to see that. So to answer your first question,
yep.
How do I feel about Oasis? Well, as I said to Sam, for me personally, and I'm not talking about anybody else other than me, this is the biggest musical news in my lifetime. Okay, John Lennon was murdered in my lifetime, but I was 2 years old, so obviously,
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah,
this to me is this would be like for some folks the Beatles getting back together. I'm not equating Oasis to the Beatles, but in terms of how important that band is to me, the Beatles are first. Oasis was the first band that I discovered on my own that wasn't an influence from, my dad, because a lot of my music comes from stuff I heard as a kid, the Beatles and the band and Creed and that kind of stuff. I got that from my dad. But Oasis was kind of the first band that I discovered on my own. And that was right when What's the Story, Morning Glory came out. And that album is without question the most important album to me. Sgt. Pepper's my favorite. Then What's the Story? But What's the Story has that whole summer. There's a lot of memories associated with that album. There were a lot of things that happened in Little Robbie's life that summer that are tied to that album. And I never did get to see them together. I never did get to see either of them solo. Never thought that the reunion would happen. And now that it has, holy shit. I'm beyond words. I've been talking about it for a week at home, and my wife just goes, "Oh Christ, I don't care."
yeah.
And I'm like,
you have guys like that's why you have us, right?
Right, exactly. And
yeah.
So I've been saying to my wife, it's different this time. There's something different about it this time. And Sam, who I know is a big Oasis fan as well, Sam and I have been talking pretty much nonstop all day, every day for like the last week, about 100 text messages a day. And he was saying the same thing. It's different this time. And then we knew the news was coming down at 8 o'clock in the morning. I would say I stayed up, but I don't go to bed till 3 o'clock anyway. So the news came down at 3 a.m. and I'm like, oh, I knew it. And I screenshotted a bunch of stuff and sent it to Sam. And he goes, he went to bed and he set his alarm. His alarm goes off. And the first thing he sees on his phone is like 20 text messages from me. And so it's a pretty exciting deal. Will they make it last? Yeah, I think they will. They're calling it a world tour, as Richard S. is saying. Mm-hmm. There are only the 14 U.S. dates, and it was rumored that they were going to do Glastonbury, but they came out today and said, no, we are not doing Glastonbury. It's just our tour. I think they're I don't think it's wait and see how it goes before we announce the rest, because once you get the machinery going in terms of all the personnel you need to put the show on, you're not just going to do 14 dates and leave it at that. I think they're probably just waiting I think they're doing it with Live Nation. I think they're probably just waiting to secure the last, the logistics of some of the shows. Mm-hmm. Music Sanctuary, the list that has come out, the only stop allegedly is Toronto on the 24th of August at Downsview Park, which I'm less than thrilled about. Downsview Park, former airfield in the middle of the city. It's where we had SARS stock. Remember the Rolling Stones, AC/DC, 500,000 people kind of thing. I'm less than thrilled. I mean, it makes sense. I don't want to go there, but I'm going to have to, because who knows, if that comes to fruition, I'll be crazy excited. As Sam and I rambled on about our live stream, which is still up on my channel, you can certainly watch that if you want. We speculated about a whole bunch of things. Who's going to be joining them? Because there are many different lineups of Oasis. So who's it going to be? Apparently Bonehead is going to join them, which is great. Gem Archer, who replaced Bonehead, but has been playing in Noel's High Flying Birds ever since. He's supposed to be there. So there's going to be enough Oasis guys. My fear was if it was just Noel and Liam, is it really Oasis? But it sounds like there's going to be enough of the Oasis guys. So I'm crazy excited. I hope that it's, lasts longer than just these 14 shows. And really, I hope that maybe we this is like throwing it way out there, but maybe we get another album out of this a couple years down the road. The sky's the limit, and I am more excited about this than I have ever been about anything in music. So
That's good. Right on. Awesome.
I rambled way too long on that. Sorry.
No, not at all. No, I mean, I hope it lasts. They've been complimentary of each other.
Yes.
There are good signs that it should. Now they got to get out on the road together, and maybe if they just go out on the road together and do the stuff that they're supposed to do and play the shows and have the fun and do the things, then maybe it'll be good. You know.
Well, I read something from one of them that said, I think it was Liam, who tends to be the more hothead of the two. He said something a while back that Noel and I have to be brothers first before we can be in Oasis again. And if they're in Oasis again, presumably they've reconciled to the point that they want to do it. Now, rumor is they were 55 million pounds.
Yeah.
So is it the 55 million pounds, or did they work things that, who knows? I don't think we'll never know.
Sure.
Let's just see what happens. Yeah. So
It would be nice. I think it would be nice if they could do kind of like, I know it didn't last that long, but when the Eagles did their Hell Freezes Over thing, it'd be nice to see something like that, because they did put an
Yes.
album out.
Yep.
It'd be kind of cool to have an album. Yeah.
Agreed.
well, the other rumor is that Noel had another Oasis album written when they broke up, and he just shelved it. Like they never did it because they broke up, and he just sat on it. So maybe you crack those things out and start working on it. Who knows? Who knows? I'm just thrilled. Who knows what's going to happen between a year and now? Who knows what's going to happen? They could get one show into this and start hating each other again.
That was the ongoing joke at work today. They get up on stage and just have a fist fight. That's the whole reunion. But hey,
Right?
let's hope
Who
not.
knows? Who knows? I would hope that they're old enough now. Noel's 57 and Liam is 51. Hopefully they've matured to the point, and they're also both sober. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
They're sober and they're old. So let's hope calmer heads prevail, and they weather through it. I'm just getting caught up on a few comments here. I read the brothers stand to make 500 million in a few concerts. I heard 55 million pounds. So who knows? They're calling it a world tour. Oh, yeah, I looked at that one. Sorry, but I can never just get into Oasis. I get that. There are people who go, I don't get it. They suck. Sure. More power to you. I don't get Kiss. So I know you got your Kiss pillow there, Joe, but I don't get Kiss.
I sleep with it at night. It's on the couch, man.
Jesus. Do you kiss it, Joe?
I do. I
Oh,
do.
boy.
But with that said, I understand how you feel, because I was of the age of being a major Kiss fan in the early 70s, and in the 70s, and I was, 12, 13 or whatever. They never played. They played close. They never played Saskatoon, which is where I lived at the time. They played Regina, and I wasn't here. Anyway, I didn't get to go. I never got to see the original 4 with makeup, the full-blown deal. And then I saw down the line, I saw them without makeup, but in similar fashion to Oasis, for you, they all got back together. It was the original guys. It was the makeup. It was all the whole Kiss thing. So I understand completely how you feel, because it happened exactly the same for me. It was like, they were in my formative years, never got a chance to see him at the time. Boom, they got their shit back together, and they were really good on those tours too, which was nice, right? It wasn't like they were doing it for the money. Gene's always doing it for the money, but they were really, really good on those tours as well. And so, yeah, I completely understand. And then the other part I hope for is AC/DC did that little European tour this year. I hope that went well enough that gets at least a few dates, and I get to come hang out with you down in Ontario next year sometime and come and see AC/DC. So,
I hope so. I hope so. For a few reasons, but yeah, that would be awesome.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm curious to know about the 4 LP release. Is it worth picking up? My answer is as a hardcore Oasis fan, I didn't even bat an eye. I threw my money at it immediately. So what they're doing for Definitely Maybe, which is the 30th anniversary of their first album that came out in 94, they are re-releasing that on 4 discs. So 2 discs for the original album, and then 2 additional discs, which is made up of a couple demos, and then they had tried to record the album in a different studio. I think it's called the Maddow Road Sessions. So that's on there, and we thought that those were sort of lost to time, but they were just rediscovered a couple years ago. So it's most of the album recorded in that studio, but apparently it sounds a lot different. They hadn't quite found the Oasis sound yet. So I'm really, really excited about hearing that new stuff, those different versions of those songs. What sealed the deal for me is they released on YouTube the original version of Sad Song, which is sung by Noel, but originally Liam had done it. And to hear Liam's version of him singing that was amazing, because Liam's voice is very nasally, but he kind of sang this a little more straight up, and I was just blown away by it. I'm like, if this is any indication of what's in that set, I'm in. I'm all in, 100%. John says, I'm currently listening to the first 3 Oasis albums. Those are the best 3. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to taint your ratings of that. So, didn't Rob Walker say Bonehead was having health issues? On the stream that Sam and I did yesterday, Rob Walker, let the music play, joined us because he was watching the stream, and Rob lives in Manchester, where Oasis is from. And I said, Rob, if you want to join us, I'll toss a link up. And so he joined us for the last half of the stream, which I was hoping he would. So he sort of offered the local perspective, and he'd seen Oasis before. Yes, Bonehead had health issues. Bonehead was their original guitar player. I think his name is Paul Arthurs, but everyone just calls him Bonehead. He had tonsil cancer, I believe, last year, but he's fully recovered from it. He's come out in the media this week and said he's perfectly healthy and looking forward to making music. So he appeared in the teaser trailer for the tour, so presumably he is going to be on the tour, which would be amazing. And he's the one guy that has remained friends with both of the Gallagher brothers for the last 15 years. So it would not really feel like an Oasis reunion without Bonehead. So, speaking of Kiss, hi, Trevor. What do I think of Bryan Adams' version of War Machine? I think it sucks.
He's got 2 new songs, doesn't he?
He does, because he started his own label now. So he put that out as a 45, which I did not buy. I think I said in one of my videos recently that I'm a big Bryan Adams fan, but his output over the last 15 or so years has been lackluster compared to when he was in his prime. And I know he wrote this song or co-wrote it with Kiss ages ago. I just wasn't a big fan. And it's not because it's a Kiss song. I just thought it was a lackluster Bryan Adams song. So, did you see, by the way, Joe, I did a video a week or 2 ago about my Firebox records, the 10 records I would save from a fire. Did you watch that?
I didn't watch that one yet. No, I'm behind between being in Minneapolis and camping.
You should, because I dedicate one of the records I would save in the fire to you.
You do you? All right. I will.
I'll leave it at that. You watch the video, you'll have a good laugh.
I will.
And I need that one more view, So
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What's John saying? I listened to the first 2 already, and a few songs on the 3rd album. I already have an idea which one will be my favorite. John, you and I should do a live stream after you post that video, and then you and I can have a little debate about it. Richard says, I cannot imagine Bryan Adams singing War Machine. You probably don't want to. I think we'll just put it there. Daryl, what's your thoughts on Bryan Adams? I like him. Joe hates him.
I like Bryan Adams up until about the time he did the song there with the Spice Girl there.
Don't you go
Maybe When You're Gone.
Don't you go insulting the Spice Girls, because then we're gonna have a problem.
I like the
love
Spice Girls.
I
I
love the
think
Spice Girls.
I think his reign ended after that song though.
I would
I didn't
also
like
agree
much
with,
of him after that.
I would agree with you. Have all this stuff, and it does markedly go downhill after that. So
I have Waking Up the Neighbors. Actually, I have almost all his 80s and early 90s stuff. I like Waking Up the Neighbors. That's my favorite
yeah, me too. Me
album.
too. Love it.
Yeah.
That's
Love
because it hasn't been. That's because it hasn't been friggin' overplayed to death. Oh wait, that's my problem. That's my problem. We're not having this conversation again.
We could.
I don't want.
Or we could jump into the topic for tonight.
We could do that.
How about we do that?
You got to give me at the end. You got to leave me a little time to talk about Green Day
Okay, we can do that.
at the end.
All right. So our topic for tonight, we're calling Under the Covers, but it's not what you think. We're talking about songs that are cover songs. And we're talking about particularly covers that are better than the original. Simple. I was surprised. I mean, I knew I had quite a few, but I didn't even get a third of the way through my collection when I had a list about this long. I'm like, well, shit, I better narrow it down a little bit. So we just thought we would talk about, why we like it, what makes it better, whatever you want to say on the topic. Let's just put it that way. And since Daryl is our honored guest this evening, would you like to go first, or do you want one of us to go first?
It doesn't matter. I can go first.
Have at her.
Yeah, I'm all good.
I'll make you big here. Hold on.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, look at that. You're the star of the show now.
There we go. Yeah, so I kind of did the same thing as you. I was just kind of going through my Discogs, figuring out different things, and I wanted to make sure whether a song was actually covered or not, make sure it wasn't the original. So the first one that I had come across in my collection, I didn't realize that the song wasn't his original. It was actually recorded first by his soon-to-be sister-in-law, and that is Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire. There we go. Yeah, so I have his greatest hits album. That's pretty much the only one I have, except for the Rock Island, I think it is, album in my collection. But I listened to hers, and I mean, if you like that early 1960s twangy female country stuff, I'm sure you'll like Anita Carter's version. But I think that version is much superior to that. But I also, to forego that, I actually really like, and I don't have this on album, is the Social Distortion one. What is that, from late 80s, I guess?
I think so.
Punk version. So yeah, Ring of Fire is I think that's a great way to start the show. I don't know what you guys think of Ring of Fire, but I think it's a pretty good one compared to her version.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that was a cover because I have like 2 Johnny Cash records. I appreciate his place in music. Would I call myself a fan? No. But I just always assumed, based on the movie Walk the Line makes it look like June wrote that and they recorded it. But I had no idea.
Yeah,
there you go.
I was listening to it last night. It was originally recorded by her. I think her name, I wrote it down. Anita Carter was her name.
Sure.
Yeah. So if you want to compare the two, one of them's definitely got that female country, early 60s twangy kind of sound to it,
Very cool.
Very
cool. Yeah. Well, that's a good one. I learned something, even though I try not to.
But sometimes we do. Sometimes we do.
What do you got for us, Joe?
No magic. No, there's no magic here. I swear to God. And we never talked. I hadn't even met Daryl before this. The first one I had ready to go was Ring of Fire by Social Distortion.
Holy shit. Look at that.
I did. I swear. It's like it was top of the friggin' pile, man. Because it's a killer song. And I love Johnny's version. And I'm a big Johnny fan. But this, yeah. I mean, obviously, Mike Ness and company just, kick it up a notch. And it's just very, very well done. So it's a cover of a cover of a cover. We're getting to triple covers here now. The other cool thing with the song, for me anyway, is I've been a fan of these guys from the start. Always good. Never had a chance to see them until I want to say like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. I didn't get a chance the most recent time. Mike was supposed to be touring again. He had some brain cancer issues, which have hopefully cleared up. And because they did get back out there, and I just didn't get a chance to see him. But they come out to do the encore when I did get a chance to see him, and he goes, "What does everybody want to hear?" And of course, everybody's yelling shit and yelling stuff. And he lets that go for about a minute, and he goes, "Well, it doesn't really matter what you say. It's written right down here on the paper, so I'm just going to play this." And then he plays "Ring of Fire." That was the closer. But yeah, it's a great song. I watched Walk the Line a little while ago, and yeah, it's got that in there where June's writing it and doing it and things like that. And yeah, it's just a killer song. And I, honest to Christ, I didn't shuffle anything. This happened to be the very first one that. So I don't know if there's a fourth version and you've got it or not, Rob. But
I don't. But I'm gonna talk about the Carter family, believe it or not.
Well,
right now.
Good.
All right, so I know squat about the Carter family, by the way, because that's really not my kind of music. And I had no idea that this was a cover. The title track from Uncle Tupelo's No Depression is a cover of a song. No Depression is a cover of a song called No Depression in Heaven, recorded by the Carter family in 1936. When June Carter was only 6 years old or 7 years old. She's not on the record, but it's her parents and older siblings singing it. I had no idea. This No Depression by Uncle Tupelo is kind of considered, when you talk about alt country, that's probably the song that most people will know, and it's kind of the one that is most synonymous with that late 80s, early 90s alt country. Uncle Tupelo's No Depression. I had never heard, obviously, the Carter family version, so I pulled it up on YouTube, as you can do. And I was very surprised to learn that this song in 1936 sounds a hell of a lot like the Uncle Tupelo version. But it has that, old-timey sort of country, but they didn't rearrange it. I mean, it's the same arrangement. Electric guitars in this and acoustic guitars. The Carter family version just acoustic, but they're not that. This is a little better because I'm not into that like 30s country kind of thing. But I mean, it's strikingly similar, but obviously I prefer this version. So not the song you guys said, but Carter family all around.
I don't know if we could have planned that one, but that's the way it works out. So that's
there
awesome.
You go.
That's good.
Yeah, no, that was good.
And I forgot to mention, I took the assignment. I don't know if I necessarily think they're better, but they're different. That I'm
That's
going
fine. It doesn't. Whatever. There's no rules,
right? Yeah.
No
So,
rules.
but yeah, all of that is fantastic. So.
Let me just a couple comments here before we go around the horn again.
Unfortunately.
Let's see here. DCM was almost drafted into the KISS Army, but he got a deferment because he was a conscientious objector. Too funny. I took my voluntary release when Ace and Peter left. There you go. Trevor says, I got to head out to my daughter's school orientation. My favorite cover is Hello Hooray by Alice Cooper, originally done by Judy Collins. I had no idea.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I've obviously heard Alice's. I don't know if I've heard Judy's. That might be one to check it out. That's going to be, I think that's going to be noticeably different, though.
I would imagine. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Richard says the Sundays, late 80s dream popish band covered the Stones' Wild Horses. Oh, that's what I should have pulled. Speaking of bands that cover the Stones, you guys know Street Hard, right? I think they're from Vancouver or whatever. They did a great cover of Under My Thumb, I think.
They did. They're from Regina, actually.
Oh, are they from Regina?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Did you go to school with them and you know them or whatever?
No, I've got yelled at by Kenny Shields once, but other than that, I was underage in a bar. Sounds like a George Thorogood song. Sure. I was underage in a bar. So I was just kind of trying to be, hide, kind of, right? Because I wanted to go and see him. So I was just kind of sitting there like this. And he finished the song and he kind of shine a light on that dude over there and like shine the friggin' spotlight on me. What's your problem, man? Are you not enjoying yourself? And it's like, no, shut the hell up. Leave me alone. I don't want to get kicked out. It's like, so yeah, he kind of gave me shit for just sitting there. I was thoroughly enjoying it, but I was trying to hide at the same time. But yeah, very good. And yeah, Under My Thumb, they did a few. They did Here Comes the Night. They did a version of that as well. They did a few covers. They had a lot of great of their own material as well, but really good version of Under My Thumb. Yeah.
I think I've got it over here, but I won't pull it for now, but I think I do have it.
Yeah.
Richard says that Tupelo album is freaking fantastic. Yes, it is. Love it. Absolutely love it. I like Foghat's cover of Willie Dixon. I Just Want to Make Love to You. I don't know that. Yeah, Under My Thumb. Under My Thumb was a single too. Yeah. I think I heard it on the radio as a kid, and then I found the vinyl once upon a time. So
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Want to go around the horn again?
They did over too. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
All right, Daryl, what do you got for us?
All right, so this one, you'll like this one, Rob, I think.
Okay.
Now I'm not the hugest of Beatles fans, but I do have the Red and the Blue albums. Now for some reason, I don't even know why this song's not on the Red album. I guess it just didn't make the cut, but I actually like the Beatles version of Twist and Shout.
You son of a bitch! You stole my thing.
I think we all. I figured Rob was gonna have that one, so I left that one alone. But
yeah, I don't know why it didn't make the cut here on the Red album.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not that I don't like the Top Notes version or the Isley Brothers, but I think what it is that live version that they did with the cheering and screaming and stuff in the background, I think makes that song. And from an early age, like my dad used to play this Red and Blue album all the time. My favorite song by the Beatles actually is Back in the USSR. My dad used to play that all the time. But yeah, Twist and Shout, it kind of brings me back to when I was younger. And I just think it's a killer cover. And yeah,
John's
I
don't
think we have to say too much more about that song. I think it's great.
Everybody knows it. John's vocal on that is great. He hated it because he sang it to the point that he got hoarse, and then the band was like, "No, that makes the song. We're not re-recording it. Like keep it as it is." Yeah, I love it too.
Yeah,
and kind of to your point, I was kind of the same way. That was one of 13-year-old me when I'm discovering music and I'm starting to go through Dad's records. I remember I'm like, I wonder if he has Twist and Shout. He didn't have this, and he didn't have the Red and the Blue. For any of my American, I'm going to make myself equal here. For the Americans that are watching, Twist and Shout, this is the second Beatles album that was released in Canada, and this was only released in Canada. It's essentially Please Please Me repackaged for Canada, and it came out after our version of Beatlemania, which was called Beatlemania with the Beatles. So if you're wondering what this is, that's what it is. I remember, I wonder if Dad has Twist and Shout, and he had Live at the Hollywood Bowl, which is on there. So I put it on, and I always skip to the live screaming version on the Hollywood Bowl when I was 12 years old or whatever. So yeah.
Plus the parade scene in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yep.
Right? So,
yep. Exactly.
Pretty good.
Oh, and that's one I got to get. I haven't got that yet. Ferris Bueller's the soundtrack for that. I want to get that one.
Yeah. I think we have it. My wife's like a soundtrack nut, so she's got more soundtracks on vinyl than anything else. So
we should do a podcast about soundtracks. Oh wait,
we did.
Yeah.
Check that out, folks, on the Vinyl Community Podcast, or you can find the video for it on my channel. Just saying.
Exactly.
That was a couple months ago, wasn't it, Joe?
Yeah, that's a while ago now. Yeah, for sure.
I wonder if we should do a new episode, Joe.
We should. And I think we have a couple of things in mind. So
yeah. Joe and I are, for those watching, Joe and I are going to do another podcast episode hopefully in the next week or so.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what it's about yet, though. Gotta wait. Joe, you're up next.
Cool. You want to do any comments, or you want me just to go?
Yeah, we'll catch up after you talk.
Cool. So this is one of those that falls into the category of the original was like non-existent, really, for the most part, or at least as far as I was concerned, or that I'm aware of. But my next one up is "I Love Rock and Roll" by Joan Jett, which is
Oh,
a
you
cover.
bastard.
Yeah, this is going to happen probably a bit because you've got the different version, but yeah. And was it the Arrows? Actually, no, not
Yes.
the Canadian Arrows, but a band called the Arrows, but
The
not
Arrows
the Canadian
in.
Arrows.
I got the notes here.
Well, there you
Don't
go.
I got some notes. 1975.
Yeah,
Yep.
and they shopped this album around forever. Nobody wanted it. Okay, screw it. We're just going to put it out ourselves, right? And then the rest is history. But again, it's one that I think. I mean, obviously, this is the definitive version, and 90% of the people that have heard it wouldn't know there was one before that. And there's a few that I didn't pull necessarily, and there's a couple more that I did that are similar to that as well. So there's defining versions of songs, and this is definitely one of them. And I've heard the other, and it's not horrible. There's nothing wrong with it, and it's kind of close.
It's almost the same. I mean, the guitar is the same, except that Jones got it overdriven through a Marshall or something, so it's a little crunchier.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
But it's basically the same.
But
and her vocals are a little more raw, which is what that song needs.
Yeah.
It's
definitely. Yeah.
The Arrows version is the vocals are a little too polished, I think.
It's a little more it's not more poppy, but it's almost a little more poppy.
Yeah.
Than, kind of. So
yeah, absolutely.
So, and then, like I said, but once you hear Joan do it, there is no other version of it. So, and it's one that I think probably gets covered lots especially by female singers out there in the world. That if you're going to do a rock and roll song, you're in a rock and roll band, and you're a female lead singer, well, why not? But
and every bar band in every bar anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So,
male or female. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's a good one. Where again, it's not necessarily that it's better. It's better, but it's also the defining version of it as well. So
Music Sanctuary is saying Kenny Shields is cool. He met him and saw Streetheart many times on the bar circuit. They did a concert here one time with April Wine and Trooper. That'd be a hell of a show.
Yeah, it was a good. I don't know if I was at that specifically, but that would have been really good as well. So
I was at a Trooper April Wine concert, and I stayed for April Wine. I stayed for Trooper. I couldn't give a shit about April Wine, and I left. But It was a free show, so who cares?
Oh, there you go. Yeah. The last time that I saw Streetheart, and I've told this before, but I'll tell you the quick version. The last time I saw him was at a deal called Rock the River in Saskatoon. It's in the Besborough Gardens there. It's on the river. It's a smaller venue, about 3,000. They have it every year, and it's kind of a festival, 3-day or whatever. And Kenny Shields, being from Saskatchewan, they went on second last, and they just crushed it. He was on fire as much as a 60-something-year-old grandpa in his like black pants that he goes to church in, and a nice button-down T-shirt can be on fire. They were really, really good, and everybody just loved it because they do have a lot of great songs. And then the poor bastard from Grand Funk, Mark Fournier, came on afterwards, and the crowd just couldn't get into it. I mean, he didn't get to his songs that people knew fast enough. It was just piss poor. It was piss poor placement of the bands, because and we stayed, and I enjoyed Mark, and he was very good because I like Grand Funk, and he was good, a great band. But if they would have put him on before Streetheart, I think he would have been much more appreciated. But they just crushed it, and that was the last time I saw him, and that was, I think, maybe 5 years ago. And they maybe did a couple more shows after that, but not a whole heck of a lot. And they're still out there. It's actually the guy from Harlequin that is singing now, and it's still the keyboard player whose name escapes me at the moment. So there is a member of Streetheart still in Streetheart, but they're getting few and far between. So
it's kind of like this live stream. I'm the only original guy left.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. But it's still good, though.
Well, that's up for debate. I always like Metallica's cover of Whiskey in the Jar. Yeah, that's a fantastic cover.
I was going to pull the Thin Lizzy one because it's actually a cover, because it's an old traditional Irish Scottish song, is it not? I think Whiskey.
It is. And if you want, Joe, I can pull the Bryan Adams cover for you.
Sure, please.
It's horrible.
Is it? Yeah, I don't think I've heard that one. So
You know, it's funny you bring that up, Rob, because I don't know why everybody shits on Metallica for that version, but it's a great version. I don't get it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that version.
I don't generally like Metallica, but I like that. So who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Recordon's talking about the Capital 6000 series. Yeah, the Twist and Shout record that I showed. The Capital 6000 LPs and the 7200s were Canadian only releases. That's right.
Correct.
The whole I Am Sam soundtrack, that is a great. I don't have it on vinyl. I used to have it on CD. I don't know what happened to it, but it's from a movie, and it's a whole bunch of artists covering the Beatles, and it's hard to cover the Beatles well, I think. But that album did it very, very well. So, I think. Nag is also a cover on that Joan Jett LP, originally the Halos in the early 60s. I did not know that.
Well, yeah, Crimson and Clover too, right? Tommy James and the Shondell. Joan did a lot of covers. She always did them well. Hate Myself for Loving You. There's lots. But yeah, Crimson and Clover's on here too. Yeah, and Nag too. Yeah. Yes.
The Arrows' Meet Me in the Middle was a top 10 hit in the 80s. I didn't know that was the Arrows. Okay, I know that song, Meet Me in the Middle.
I don't think it's that Arrows, though. I don't think.
Is there a Canadian Arrows?
I know that song, but I don't think it's I don't think it's that Arrows, because I don't think it was the Canadian band The Arrows, which I know that song. You'd know that song if you heard it, but
yeah. Tom Petty did great covers, live versions of the Ballad of Easy Rider. Should I stay or should I go? Well, if you want to talk Tom Petty covers, they did that live from the Fillmore in 1997. It's a box set, and it's also a triple LP, and it's all not all covers, 85% covers, and it's fantastic. Really, really good. Really good. Kenny Shields was a killer frontman. He knew how to work a crowd.
It was good, yep.
Alien Ant Farm covered Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal. Just saw Metallica this past weekend at Commonwealth Stadium, and Joe just saw Metallica. Did you not?
I did.
Well, I'm sure we'll get to that at the end when we talk about your Green Day experience.
Yeah.
Man for Man's Earth Band did lots of covers. CCR did Heard It Through the Grapevine. Oh, why did I pull that? Because that's an awesome cover.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Well, the Manfred Man, obviously, right? Again, there's another definitive version. I like Bruce's version. Great song. But they certainly made that their own. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to get to my pick here.
Yeah.
This is a twofer because I want to talk about two covers by this band, but I only have one of them on vinyl because the other appears on a soundtrack that I don't own. So this is a little band from the 80s featuring one of the most stunning women in the world, my fantasy wife, Susanna Hoffs, the Bangles. This is their, we'll call it their reunion album. They broke up in the late 80s, reunited in 2000, and put out this album, Dull Revolution. And the lead track off of there is called Tear Off Your Own Head, which is a cover of the Elvis Costello song.
Cool.
And I think it is superior to the Elvis Costello version. I'm a little biased because I'm not a big Elvis Costello fan. I appreciate him, but I'm not like, I want to listen to some Elvis Costello. And it's also Susanna Hoffs. I would eat the corn out of her shit. So she's something special. She could scream the phone book at me and I would be mesmerized. So, but you know, all joking aside, I prefer this version to Elvis Costello's version because the guitars are a little bit crunchier, and their version of this, now bearing in mind this has all the flourishes of circa 2000 production, right? So it sounds like a song from 2000. It sounds a little bit dated, but it kind of sounds like garage rock, power pop kind of stuff. So it's different than the Costello version. Similar, but a little more garagey and a little more poppy. And Susanna's voice, which just does things to me. So, you know, Tear Off Your Own Head. And then the other one that I wanted to talk about, the Bengals did a ton of covers. And yes, I could have, this was low hanging fruit. I could have done Manic Monday, but that's technically not a cover. Even though it's a Prince song, Prince wrote it for the Bengals. So it's not technically a cover.
Correct.
Anyway, they have a ton of covers. The other one that I really think is actually awesome is on a soundtrack for, I can't remember what movie it was, they covered Simon and Garfunkel's Hazy Shade of Winter.
Mhm.
And I think it is vastly superior to the Simon and Garfunkel version because they took it from the sort of jangly, folky kind of sort of folky version that Simon and Garfunkel did. And it's a little more garage rocky, a little more power poppy, kind of just like the other.
Mhm.
It's it's a little more electric guitar. It's just the vocals are a little punchier. So, those are my two favorite Bengals covers that I think are much, much better than the originals. So
Just that,
Hazy Shade of Winter is a great track.
that guitar riff.
That's late 80s at its finest right there.
absolutely. I think the movie was The Deep Chill, I think. I don't know. It's on their greatest hits, but I don't have their greatest hits on vinyl. I have everything else. But they had a ton of covers, but I think those ones are the best. So let's see here. I hope Steve's watching. Eat the Corn quote needs to be on a t-shirt. It should. Yeah. Rob, question for Joe. Is he coming to see Pink, Sheryl Crow, the script, Kid Cut Up concert this weekend at Commonwealth? Are you going to that?
I'm not. I would go see that show. I'm not, other than I just have other things that I have to do, and I've been away a lot, so I didn't get a chance to get to that. But I would go see Pink. I think she's put on a great show. I've never seen Sheryl, so I'd like to see that. The others,
me too.
to be honest, I'm not familiar with. But yeah, I think Pink and Sheryl would be a fantastic show. I'm just not coming this weekend. So
DCM agrees with my take on Hazy Shade of Winter, but not the Corn thing. I mean, it's Susanna Hoffs, so I mean, whew. I can't talk about her anymore. I'm going to get too excited for this live stream. So.
that's right. You can't have that.
No. Can't be. Gotta behave here. So.
Yes.
Let's go around again. Daryl, what do you got?
All right, so this is kind of one of those cases. I'm not saying it's unusual, but usually it's a lot of times it's female bands that are covering male bands, but I'm kind of going the reverse here. So I think it's in 1966. Once again, this is kind of more of a personal one for me because my mom was a big fan of this particular singer. So the Supremes did You Can't Hurry Love. I think it was in 1966.
Yep.
And say all you want. I mean, you don't have to be a Phil Collins fan, but I'm not saying it's superior, but I think his version of You Can't Hurry Love, puts a unique spin on it. And he even came out and stated after that song that when they recorded it, they actually tried to kind of do it in that 1960s style. But because of the technology in the studios in the 80s, that it improved so much that he actually couldn't get that 60s sound that the Supremes were kind of doing. But I do like You Can't Hurry Love by Phil Collins. I am a Phil Collins fan.
We won't hold that against you. I like the Spice Girls. So
But I think it's more my mom used to listen to it all the time when I was a kid. It just, once again, it kind of resonates with me.
I'm a Phil Collins fan too, so we're okay. We're all right.
Yeah. my dad was a big Motown fan, and he liked a lot of those 60s girl groups. So I heard a lot of Supremes when I was a kid. So I'm intimately familiar with the original.
The Shirelles, all those, eh?
Yeah, the Shirelles, the Crystals, the Supremes, the Ronettes, all of those. So.
Oh, Ronnie.
Yep.
I love Ronnie.
Yep.
I saw a picture of Phil. I don't know how long.
He's not looking good.
I don't know how long.
Isn't he dead already? He's dead already.
No, he's not. No.
Yeah,
he was going out on tour. They were supposed to be like a
little. Sorry. Yeah. You're right. He's not. Yeah, he's not looking good. You're right.
No.
His son is now kind of taken over that whole drumming role. Yeah. I watched that show, that YouTube channel, their Drumeo, and they've had Phil Collins' son on there talking about how I wouldn't say how he's taken over for his dad, but how his dad's kind taught him over the years how to play and how he's taken on a different style than his dad, but you can kind of see it in him.
Phil has cemented his place in rock and roll history with one drum solo, because you can be sitting in a room of people and that song's playing and you just look around and everybody, not everybody, but enough, more than not, you'll see them air drum in that drum solo in that song. There's been other ones, but that is the defining air drum solo song that there is. And yeah, I like Phil. I like Phil in Genesis. I like Phil on his own. There's certainly some parts that I can leave out a little bit as well, but for the most part, I'm a Phil Collins kind of a guy.
I forget. I think it was the Auditory Vinyl that did that. Name a musician that's been in 3 different bands, whether it's solo and then a couple bands.
Yep.
I actually used Phil Collins because I didn't realize it until I did a little research that he was in a band called Brand X. They do like more like jazz fusion kind of music. So it's kind of neat to see the different eras of Phil as well. Because I mean, when he was in Genesis, early Genesis, obviously it's way different than that 80s, 90s Genesis, and then his own solo stuff. So, and you throw in a little jazz fusion. I mean, it's kind of different anyway.
Yeah, he's a talented man for sure. So, kind of like Bryan Adams, he's a very talented man. There's just some songs that I never want to hear from him again.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair
so
enough.
You Can't Hurry Love. There you go.
There you go. I guess that makes it my turn. No, it makes it Joe's turn.
Sure.
Lose track. Joe's turn.
All right. I'm going to go out of order because you mentioned Simon and Garfunkel covers. So I'm going with this Simon and Garfunkel cover, which was such a monster hit a couple of years ago, in The Sound of Silence. That is a much different version, much like Hazy Shades of Winter is a much different version. This is really, really a different version. I like the way that David Draiman sings it. I like the way they orchestrated it with all of the extra parts going on. I like the screamy little parts that he puts in there. Obviously, that's back to the way that he sings it. I just think they did a very good job, and they did a really good job of it live as well. I saw them do it, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and they brought the timpanis out, so they had the big drums and they had the whole thing going on, and they made it sound really, really good. They definitely made it their own, and they also did, obviously, the Genesis cover of what's that song? Land of Confusion. They did Land of Confusion as well. They're one of those bands, kind of like Five Finger Death Punch, where they throw a couple of covers at you every once in a while. I saw Five Finger Death Punch in Minneapolis too. Anyway, that's my next one. Simon and Garfunkel's The Sound of Silence, but the Disturbed version of it. I thought it was great from the first time I heard it, and I can still listen to it. And there's a very cool, I used to have a VR headset. There's a really cool VR version of the video for that song that's out there. You can find it on YouTube. So if you've got a VR headset, go and have a look for it. It's kind of the same as the 2D version, but it's pretty immersive and it's pretty cool. So that's my next one. David and the rest of the boys from Disturbed and The Sound of Silence, what it is definitely not silent when they sing it. So
it's actually crazy the range, the vocals that David Draiman has on that song.
Yeah,
I mean, you wouldn't think that a guy that's singing, I mean, it's not death metal stuff, but I mean, Down with the Sickness, right? I mean, he's doing Down with the Sickness, doing that kind of stuff, and he just does this mellow thing, but with a really high octave. It's amazing the range that guy has.
Yeah, and then that one, like, just where he kind of like he's almost growling it out or whatever. Just I just thought they did a really, really good version of it. They definitely made it their own. Again, I'm not gonna say that it's better, but it is definitely much different than the original. So Simon and Garfunkel wrote a whole shitload of really, really good songs. There's other covers of their songs out there, because they're really, really good songs. So it's nice to see other people picking them up and doing some cover versions of it. So like there's that country album now that is out with all the Tom Petty songs on it, and I haven't listened to that yet or haven't picked it up yet, but that's probably pretty good. Again, you just make a whole bunch of great songs, and regardless of the artist, as long as they don't screw it up somehow, if you take a good song, you can usually do a pretty good cover of it. Just depends if you want to keep it the way it was or you want to make it your own, like a Manfred Mann or like a Disturbed does.
Good one. All right. Me.
Yeah.
Okay. I go from my fantasy wife to the person I think is the greatest female singer ever, and someone who's done a hell of a lot of covers, Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah.
And my favorite song of all time by any artist ever is Tumblin' Dice, which is a cover of the Rolling Stones song. No secret, I'm not a big Rolling Stones fan. They just don't do it for me. It's not that I'm like, I hate the Rolling Stones. I just not interested. I would rather watch grass grow. It just doesn't do it for me. But her version of Tumblin' Dice, it's not terribly different. I mean, it's she sounds a lot different than Mick Jagger, but it's not really a different arrangement. It's not dramatically different. But I think it is vastly superior because this woman has a voice that is just, the power behind her voice is absolutely incredible. And she knocks it out of the park on this one. And I think, her guitar player on this album is one of my favorite guitar players of all time, Waddy Wachtel. I think he's a great guitar player. I'm not saying he's better than Keith Richards, but I very much appreciate Waddy Wachtel's guitar playing. So for me, this is my favorite song of all time, and it just happens to be a Rolling Stones cover. So, Tumblin' Dice.
We talked about it maybe last time or the time before, how Linda gets, I think, a lot of credit, but not as much as I think she should.
Agreed.
Like in the store, at the shop, I got a lot of Linda Ronstadt albums that sit there and go like, come on, man, why are you not taking this? It's like, you should have this album. It's almost like I want to give a couple away. Like, you have to listen to this, because I really think she's very, very good. She's going to be one of those artists that's going to pass away, and she's going to get much more recognition, and people are going to go, oh shit, we kind of missed on that. And they shouldn't have missed on it, because it's not like she's brand new. She's from the 70s, for God's sakes. Covers, of course, but still, I mean, Tumblin' Dice, again, that is a fantastic choice. And I don't understand. And again, it's not that I don't think she doesn't get the credit, and I don't think it's not that, her fellow musicians don't get it. I just don't know why her albums are around and stick around longer than they should. But that's me.
They're always the $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 records.
They are, yeah.
They're always in the antique.
Like Heart Like a Wheel. Heart Like a Wheel should just be like Fleetwood Mac Rumors going out the door, man.
It should be.
I
did a series of videos with my good friend Bob, who was in Blue Rodeo and Wilco, and he was talking about albums that influenced him as a musician. And this is a man that's in the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. This is a man that has played with Johnny Cash. And he said to me, Heart Like a Wheel is one of the albums that made him want to be a musician.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And you know what? I didn't discover, obviously I knew who Linda Ronstadt was, but in my mind, I'm like, she's some country singer. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because I remember that album she did with Dolly Parton and Emmylou Harris, Trios, back in the 80s or whatever. I'm like, I have no interest in that. And then somehow I heard Tumblin' Dice. This isn't where, and I'm only talking like 5-6 years ago. And I heard Tumblin' Dice now, and I literally went, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, exactly. I know.
I was absolutely floored. And I'm like, well, so then I started getting on the old YouTube and hearing all these other incredible songs that she's done and how amazing her voice was. I didn't really care for her beyond the early 80s, because then she started doing some of that Mexican stuff and the country stuff, and that's fine. It just doesn't interest me. But that 70s into the first couple years of the 80s, man, just amazing. And so yeah, I don't get why those first, 4, 5, 6 albums are around everywhere. And the couple albums she did with the Stone Ponies are damn good too.
Couple of dudes from a band that you might know of were in that band, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway,
Linda Ronstadt's the reason I cried as a kid to the American Tail movie.
Oh yeah,
somewhere out there. It was awful.
yeah. She's again. I wish more, and I think you guys know what I mean when I say it, right? I wish more people appreciated her. So
yeah,
agreed. And it's a shame that she's she can't sing anymore. She's in very declining health. She couldn't even be at her own Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. Her induction was amazing. If you haven't seen it, Glenn Frey inducts her, and then obviously she can't be there to sing. So it's Carrie Underwood, Bonnie Raitt, Emmylou Harris, Sheryl Crow, and Stevie Nicks come on and do. I mean, holy shit! And they all do an absolutely incredible job. It was fantastic.
Yeah, the documentary's good. I don't know if we've mentioned that one along the lines when we've talked.
I think we have
before, but it's good. It's a 2-parter. Can't remember what it's called, but seek it out though. If you're out there and looking for a good rock documentary, it's the one about Linda Ronstadt.
Sure.
They're doing a movie too. They're doing a biopic.
Isn't Selena Gomez supposed to be in that? Isn't that?
Yeah, I think she'll be able to. I think she'll be able to pull it off. Yeah.
Ronstadt would have been a good fit for Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe. There was a Record Store Day box set this year. I don't think it moved much. Yeah, I looked at it. There was no need for me to buy it because I had already had all the albums that were in it.
Yeah,
but you see it, get it, because that is her at her prime. The ones that are in that box set. So,
yep,
absolutely. All right, Daryl, you want to go again?
Yeah. So I'm actually, this is gonna be a twofer here.
Give her.
So I'm not into.
You can't tell we're Canadian. Daryl's like, it's a twofer. I'm like, give her.
Yeah, take off, you hosers.
I'm not the hugest Bob Dylan fan, but I do have his greatest hits. So it's kind of a twofer.
That's too much Bob Dylan.
That's too much Bob Dylan. So where I'm going with this is for me, by far, the Byrds version of Mr. Tambourine Man.
Oh,
in my opinion, is way superior to Bob Dylan's. So I'm just going to throw him here. But on the flip side of this, I got a really weird one here. And I'm not saying this is superior. It might be to some people, but it's just weird. And that is Ministry's version of Lay Lady Lay. I don't know if you've ever heard it.
No.
But they do. It really is bizarre. It's kind of cool if you're into that industrial music. But Ministry did a cover in '96, I'd like to say, of Lay Lady Lay. And at the same time, they actually did a cover of Louis Armstrong's What a Wonderful World in 3 different versions.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What made it different is in each version, the very end, one is like a complete industrial, like just not even listenable. And then they actually do one that's kind of more mellow and calm. So I know I've gone with the obscure on this one.
That's okay.
But I think the Byrds, Mr. Tambourine Man, is way superior to Bob Dylan's any day. And just Ministry is just strange. If you want to get into the obscure, you should check that one out.
Wow.
I'm trying to because I know Ministry. I don't have a lot of, if any, but I know it. So I'm trying to picture that in my head. I'm gonna have to go and listen to that one. So that'll be different, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what the chat has to say about this one, but I brought up it's a unique one, I guess you would say, on this one.
Yeah. Well, I'll make you feel a little better as well. I don't know if that's the right way of putting it. I think I've stated publicly before that I like Bob Dylan when it's sung by somebody else. Bob wrote a lot of great songs, but and again, there's times like the Hurricane. I can listen to Bob Dylan at times, like the Hurricane. I think he's great, and the Wilburys is great, and he can. And regardless of sing, not sing, whatever, I just like the way that other people have interpreted his songs, right? Like All Along the Watchtower by Hendrix, or Knocking on
Why
Heaven's.
did you have to do that?
Sorry. Well, you go then. You go.
Well,
You
no,
continue.
Another one by Dylan that I can't stand, but was it the Birds that did this one? My Back Pages. Just Bob Dylan's version is atrocious, in my opinion.
Yep,
But I think the Birds did that one too, eh? My Back Pages.
I think so.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just, like I said, like Knocking on Heaven's Door and all. Yeah,
Yeah, Guns N' Roses. Yeah,
yeah.
You keep
Different-
going, Joe. I got to go pull another record since you just stole my. So
Okay.
you keep going.
All right. Well, I didn't steal it as much as I shouldn't have mentioned it, but I
Yes,
did.
stole it.
All right, fine. Okay, next. What am I going to go with? Oh, I like this one. This is a good one. Speaking of, we talked about CCR earlier, and or somebody brought something up. Anyway, just shut up and show the record, Joe. Proud Mary by Ike and Tina Turner. That's a staple of Ike and Tina Turner. I think that one stayed with Tina all the way through, right till the end. But again, I keep saying it, and I don't mean to harp on it, but I love when people kind of make it their own. And she just freaking made that song her own, just from the way that it starts, and then they kick it in. And to have seen that live would have just been like, oh, that's all I would have needed to see was just Tina Turner do Proud Mary, and I would have been happy. I would have, okay, take my money, I'm good. Everything else is just gravy after that. But
I think my parents saw Ike and Tina Turner. No, I know they did, but whether that song had been out yet or not, I don't know.
Whether it was or not, yeah. Obviously, like I said, that everybody knows that version. Everybody knows the CCR version as well. There's another band where John wrote a lot of great songs, and there's a lot of good cover songs out there. And I'm not going to say any more songs until it's my turn, so I'm not stealing anybody else's stuff. But I really like, and I'm a Tina Turner fan. And again, she just does such a fantastic job. And to see that one live, like you see some old footage when she's got the spangly dress on, and the backup singers just losing their mind. And then I don't know how she finished sets after that. But like, I don't know, that had to have been the closer, because that was just the most energetic ever that you ever saw an entertainer be was Tina Turner when she did that song. And I love it. I can listen to it often still. It's really, really good. So there's a cover song for you.
She did a great song with your friend Brian Adams.
She did. Yeah, definitely. I know.
Not a cover, but
No, not a cover. No, that one wasn't a cover. No. Yeah.
All right. So since I'm not going to talk about All Along the Watchtower, because what else do you say about it?
Yeah.
I'm going to relate this to Bob Dylan, though. Now, I don't have the cover version. I have the original of this particular song. And since it was sort of mentioned, the Traveling Wilburys. There is a song here that I absolutely love called Tweeter and the Monkey Man, which is awesome. And if you don't live in Canada, you probably are not familiar with this cover, but there's a rock band in Canada called the Headstones. And they do a really, really good 2000s rock cover of Tweeter and the Monkey Man. And it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't want more to say about it. It sounds like, early 2000s rock. And that's
it was definitely one instantly that I thought of when we did this. I just don't have it on vinyl. I've got it on CD somewhere stuffed away. But in Kingston, everything's legal, man, as long as you don't get caught. It's just, I mean, again, a killer song done the same and or differently. It's different. All the parts are there, but it's just a great version. Yeah, I love that. It's
one of those covers where I like the cover as much as the original. I'd be happy with either one of them.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely.
Yep. God damn it! The Red Sox beat the Blue Jays tonight. What a shock! We lost
Danny Jansen, though, eh?
3-0.
Let's have your Blue Jay. Let's have a Blue Jays minute here. That was pretty cool with Jansen. I mean, it's completely. I'm not sure the right word.
Historic.
Yeah, historic. I was trying to think of some kind of situation, but anyway, for those who don't know,
for those that are watching, back in June, the Jays were playing a game in Fenway Park against the Red Sox. that was called in the middle of an inning due to a rain delay. And they made up the game on Monday in Fenway Park as, part of a, I guess, sort of doubleheader. And in that ensuing time, our catcher, Danny Jansen, one of my favorites, one of the few guys that I wish we hadn't traded, was traded to the Red Sox. And he was the catcher in the rain-delayed makeup part of the game because in the time since the game had been delayed, the Red Sox had traded Reese McGuire, so Danny Jansen was the catcher. So he became the first player in the history of professional baseball to play for both teams in the same game. Not only that, to add to the weirdness, the batter that was at bat when the rain delay was called was Danny Jansen. So when the game resumed, he was catching his own at bat.
Yep.
So they obviously had to put in a pinch hitter. So that was kind of cool. But aside from that, I mean, the Jays are a friggin' train wreck. Yeah, we won 6 in a row. But it really doesn't matter because we're something like 12 games out of the wild card. I don't even know how far back we are now. But, I mean, it's all good because we had to blow the team up, and I think we still need to blow the team up some more. Bobachet's got to go in the
thought here is you're talking about the 6-game win streak. What are your thoughts on Bo now?
Get rid of him. Gotta go. Listen, he's got no interest in playing anymore. He's a whiny prima donna, and I've never liked him. He's too goddamn concerned about his hair.
He's arrogant with that. It's that haircut, man. That haircut bugs me.
He doesn't want to play in Toronto. We don't want him either. Get rid of him. And there's still a lot more that I would get rid of. We need to get rid of Alejandro Kirk. He can't be our starting catcher, and Severn doesn't have enough experience. We need a catcher. Our pitching staff's okay. But yeah, we need to blow the team up some more. We need to Bichette. We really need to deal. I don't mind if we hang on to Guerrero, but I also wouldn't be upset if we traded him. It's difficult to watch the Jays now because it's 3/4 of the team is the Buffalo Bisons, our AAA team. So you're not really watching the Jays anymore. So
Vladdy wants to be there, though, right? So
Yes,
there
he
is
does.
that part. He wants to be. At least he's said that.
Yep.
He wants to be a Jay forever. I'm good. This is where I want to be. This is where I want to play. So,
you know
he's
what?
got
To
that,
his credit, he's put in the time. He has worked his ass off in the last month or so, and he turned around the most dismal season he's had, and now he's on fire. So he put in the work. So good for him. I'm okay if we keep him. But the other thing that has to happen, the entire coaching staff has got to go. Pete Walker's got to go. Schneider's got to go. Most importantly, we got to get rid of Ross Atkins, our general manager. He's the cause of the entire problem, unfortunately. So he's
been the cause of the problem since the Jays went to the playoffs with David Price and all them. Like right after that, it imploded completely.
Yeah. Well, and his boss is to blame too, right? But I think Shapiro's good for another year or so because he's still working on the renovations to the stadium. They're putting in another restaurant bar area. They're still not quite done so I think they'll hang on to him, but I think they need to get rid of Atkins and they need to get rid of Schneider. And the other thing that I'll comment on, I'm really glad we did not bring Joey Votto up from Buffalo, who we signed to a minor league deal after Cincinnati didn't renew his contract. He had a bit of, I don't know if he had any sour grapes about it or not, but, he was hurt for half the season and he only hit like 142 since he came up to Buffalo. And people are like, well, we should have brought him up for a day. And I go, why? We don't owe him shit. And Canada doesn't owe him shit, to be quite honest, because he's shit on Canadian baseball for the last 17 years. But now that nobody wants it, he wants to play for the Jays. Take that, Joey.
The Eric Lindros scenario.
Yes.
We'll see we'll see what's left of Skydome after the Swifties get at it for 6 nights in a couple of months.
What I wouldn't do to be at that show, let me tell you.
I think it's 6, right? Joanne and I were looking. There's 6 different shows, right?
There's 6 of them. And I was on the waiting list and never got tickets. And I mean, every contest that is giving away tickets, I've entered in every bloody one of them.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to happen. But nevertheless.
What we got to do, what you got to do is you just got to get yourself a ladder and a set of overalls and just walk in the joint like you own it. No, I'm here to fix shit, like the guy did at the Super Bowl. Just
Yeah, why
try
not?
it. What
Yeah.
what's the worst that can happen? They can say, no, we saw that shit before. We're not falling for that. Or maybe you get in and then you take off
Who
your
knows?
jumpsuit. You got your Eras Tour shirt on, and away you go.
Maybe. I hope it happens, but I'm not counting my
I hope it happens for you too. I know.
I mean, I've seen her before. I saw her on the Red Tour, and it was incredible. But I'd like this tour. I have a couple friends that have been to various shows, and said it was incredible. So, and if by some miracle we were able to get tickets, my wife would just be absolutely ecstatic. So, yeah, it's all good. Let's see here. If you win the Rogers tickets, I'll sell you mine. Sounds good, man. You got a deal. Okay, Daryl, do you want to go again?
Yeah. So first of all, I just say thanks, Mark, for being here. Thanks for seeing me on the channel. For my next pick, it's actually going to be the longest, I guess, amount of years between when the song was recorded and when the cover came out. And I'm going to go with Taco's Putting on the Ritz, which was written and released in 1927, I believe it was.
Something like that.
And this version, what's this version, like 1982 or 83?
Yep.
Once again, this isn't a case where I think it's superior. It's cool because, I mean, it's that synth pop, new wave stuff. But, I mean, it takes a whole new spin from that 1920s stuff, which I really like. And just takes a whole completely different spin on an Irving Berlin song. So yeah, no, Taco. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Taco's other stuff, but I don't know. There's just something about that song and that stupid video where he's walking around with a cane and doing his little dance there. I don't know what it is. Yeah, putting on the Ritz there. Kind of cool.
I think I saw something the other day. Because of the difference in time frame, Irving Berlin was the oldest composer on the top 100 or something like that, because that song was on the top 100. So that made him the oldest composer ever to have a song in the top 100 or something like that, just because he wrote it back in the day and then it became a hit. So I think it's something along the lines of that was the trivia I saw the other day. So
yeah, I think I read that somewhere too, that he was on the Billboard charts or something because he was the composer. So
right. Yeah.
That's really it's a crazy fact.
Plus there's Putting on the Ritz from Young Frankenstein. So that's always pretty good too. So, yeah. No, it's a great song. And yeah, it's certainly catchy. A staple of 80s hits and one-hit wonders or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's always a fun song to have. So
all right, Joe, what you got?
All right. I'm gonna go with another one that was defined by the person that did it on this album versus the original, and that is New York Groove by my buddy Ace from Kiss. Again, it's a cover by the band, I believe, Hello from 1975. And I don't know that I've heard the original. Probably, I'm sure I've looked it up somewhere, but it was just obviously it's a song that Ace took and made it his. It's a not. I think I have actually heard it, and it's definitely different. It's a lot more produced and more rock than when Ace gets a hold of it, and the guitar and the jangly guitar and things like that. Yeah, it's just it's great. It's the only song that was a hit off of the 4 solo albums that they all put out at the same time. Ace was always my guy of the band. If you play the which is your favorite Kiss member, much like which is your favorite Beatle, etc., etc. And this is a great album actually. Even if you're not a Kiss fan, but you're a rock and roll fan, Rob, this might be one to give a shot to as well. I don't know if you've bothered to listen to this one, but
I have not,
because it's not a Kiss record. It's obviously the guitar player from Kiss, but it's not necessarily a Kiss record because it's not all about just sex, and it's a little bit of sex, but but it's a good album, and his version of New York Groove is really good. And again, it's just one of those songs that you're at a football stadium, you're at a hockey rink or whatever, it comes on and everybody gets into it and everybody can sing it, even if they've never heard anything else by Kiss or by Ace. And yes, Richard, I would agree with that. Fraley's Comet's pretty decent, but this is probably his best album. And yeah, and it's just a good fun party song, anthem, stadium anthem, rock song. One of those deals, you put that on and everybody has a pretty good time when it comes on. So yeah.
All right. My goal. Which do I want to show next? Let's do this one here. I got to pull up my notes because I got to remember the who, what, when, where, why about this. Okay, here we go. Off of this 90s masterpiece, Shake Your Moneymaker, the Black Crowes song Hard to Handle is a cover. It's a cover of an Otis Redding song of the same name, obviously, that Otis recorded in 1968. And I knew that, but I hadn't heard it. My wife's a big Otis fan, but I pulled it up, and they're remarkably similar. The Otis version is a tad more. How do I describe it? It's a tad more laid back and kind of in a kind of a little more of a laid back groove, whereas the Black Crowes version is kind of like it's a strutting kind of song, if that kind of makes any sense. But they are remarkably similar, but I think this one just gets my toe tapping a little more than the Otis version. So
yeah,
there you go.
There's another band with an album out this year that is really, really good, that is not getting, again, in my humble opinion, enough recognition, and that's the Black Crowes new one.
I haven't heard it yet. Is it good?
It is. It's really good, actually. Yeah, I like it. And I was off of the Black Crowes for a little bit for some reason. I don't know why. But man, it's good. It's like it's like Green Day, where it's such a good new album, and I don't know, just going, it's the Black Crowes. Where the hell have they been for 20 years? We don't give a shit. But it's good. I wouldn't sleep on it. I'd give it a listen and then decide from there. But yeah, it's it fits in with some of the older stuff, and it's got some new great flavor. It's got a lot of great keyboards in it, and that's obviously a big part of the Black Crowes as well. You get that Hammond organ and that really great organ sound or whatever. So yeah, I like it. I think it's pretty good.
The Otis version has soul. I guess that's what I was trying to get at. It has some soul.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those cases of soul versus like hard rock, right? It's two different genres. And I was going to go back to Rob's thing too, where the Hello version is kind of like that too, where it's so streamlined that when you hear it, if you hear it, I mean, Ace is definitely superior to it. It's just a really streamlined version. And I think that's probably the same case with the Black Crowes. It's just Otis is streamlined way differently than the Black Crowes version.
Yeah.
Yep. Mark is agreeing that he's heard good things about the new Black Crowes. All right, well, that's all I need to hear. That is I need to give it a listen. So,
and yes, in answer to Richard, which is it the Happiness Bastards? Yes, that's the album. Plus, a pretty cool title. I like it. Happiness Bastards. That could be an Oasis album title.
Could be. Bob says he never cared for Chris Robinson's so-called singing. That's fine.
Yeah.
You like it or you don't. That's totally fair. I think I'm relatively caught up on comments, I think. So let's go around the horn again. Daryl.
Yep.
All right. Now don't hold this next comment against me, okay? So this next song is from, so I'm a Leaf fan.
Oh,
I don't know
if
you're a Maple Leafs fan.
I'm a Habs fan.
No. So this next song is from the Hall & Oates album that had that Leafs goal scoring song that it was awful. You Make My Dreams Come True. But on that same album is the version of Paul Young does Every Time You Go Away. Hall & Oates, in my opinion, their version is awful. It's atrocious. It's on that same album. So my next pick is actually Paul Young's Every Time You Go Away. I don't know what it is. I mean, I guess you would call it maybe his ballad. I'm not saying he's a one-hit wonder, but it's pretty much what he's known for. But there's just so much about that Hall & Oates album, from the bad You Make My Dreams Come True to that. And I'm not saying I don't like Hall & Oates. I actually think Daryl Hall's a dick for how he's been treating John there recently.
See, I'm the other way around. I'm totally Daryl Hall, Team Daryl Hall. Absolutely. Fuck you, John Oates.
But yeah, no, I don't know. There's just something about Every Time You Go Away. The Hall & Oates version to me is just is awful. And so, yeah, I'll go with a little Paul Young on that one. And I think it's the only Paul Young I'm ever going to have in my collection. I got it randomly once. It was on this summer vacation. I was in a antique shop and I got it for like $5, really good condition. So I just grabbed it for the sake of that song, because I really do like it. But yeah, I know it's an unusual pick. But man, I don't know. I used to like Hall & Oates, but I think it might be what Rob was saying about Bryan Adams. They've just been, to me, a lot of their mainstream stuff has been so overplayed that I just can't stand it anymore.
Yeah,
and so I'd rather listen to the other cover stuff that other people do.
Yeah, you go back to like Abandoned Luncheonette and things like that. The Blue Eyed Soul stuff, the early stuff by Rich Girl, even all of that. There was just like Maneater and shit. I got no time for a lot of that, but I like a lot of the original earlier Hall & Oates stuff. Like I say, all of
that Method of Modern Love I found was completely, I don't know what it is about that song. I find it completely annoying. They spell out a word just to sing a song. It's just, I don't know what it is.
Yep.
You can tell I'm not a huge Hall & Oates fan. But my brother, actually, one of the only records my brother's ever bought me was a Hall & Oates record. So I guess I can't complain too much. That and a Green Jelly 45.
Little pig, let me in. That one.
That's the one.
I don't know if there is another one, but that's the one, right?
Yeah.
That freaking video. I saw that video a while ago. It holds up. It never held up in the first place. Anyway. Yeah.
All right, for us there, Joe.
All right, I got a band that's almost a cover band. That's not fair, but I'm going to say that in tongue in cheek a little bit. And the best part of this band is that they introduced me to the band that they play a lot of covers of, and that is Quiet Riot. Because I'm not sure why Slade slipped through my fingers until Quiet Riot came out. So I like this album and I like their versions of the songs. It's always good, on here. Come On, Feel the Noise. I don't know if Mama, We're All Crazy Now. Yeah, it's on here. Or is that on here, or that's on the other one? Anyway, so my biggest enjoyment of Quiet Riot is the fact that they turned me on to Slade, because hey, who sings that song, or where'd that song come from, or whatever, and then went back and started to listen to all of the Slade stuff. But again, they did some great versions, and they had their own stuff as well. But and so again, I'm not saying that this is a better version, but I appreciate the fact that Quiet Riot introduced me to Slade, because I'm not sure. Again, that's a band like, holy shit, where was I when they were doing what they were doing? Part of it obviously was they were in Europe, obviously was the thing. And at least in Regina, or Saskatoon or Saskatchewan in general, they weren't getting a lot of radio play. That was my original place to hear a lot of things, was obviously on the radio. But yeah, so Quiet Riot, Mental Health, it's a good album. Both albums are good, but I thank them the most for turning me on to Slade, because I like their versions, and then I go back and I listen to all the Slade and all the other good Slade stuff as well. So I'm happy about that. So cover band, not really, that's not fair, but cover band with a lot of great cover songs of another very good band. So
I came very close to picking this album. I had a feeling that one of you might actually have this one out, so I left it on my shelf. But yeah, no, that's a great album, the Mental Health one.
Yeah,
can't go wrong there.
No, I agree.
Richard's saying he doesn't understand how Slade didn't get bigger outside of the UK.
Yeah, Yeah, there was some bands that's just, and I guess there was some bands, it's the same thing kind of, that we talk about in Canada, where we know that there's a lot of really good stuff here that nobody else knows about. But so many bands did break out of the UK. Obviously, that's a stupid comment, but you know what I mean by it.
Yep.
So so it's surprising with the amount of bands that the UK went, hey, look what we've got. That they were not one of them that didn't equate over here. They did much more after that, right? And then they had Turn On Your Power Supply or whatever, their bigger hit with Run Run Away on it, and they had a couple of albums after the Quiet Riot stuff that they were a bit successful. But that early Slade stuff, it's all tongue in cheek. It's a little AC/DC lyrically wise or whatever. It's it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of really good stuff, as is the Quiet Riot versions as well.
Slade, in a way, I'm not saying they're the same, but they kind of remind me, just weird and quirky, didn't become too popular. It's like same as the New York Dolls. They just never became all that popular, but they do have some pretty cool stuff if you dig deep into it.
Yeah, there was, and there was lots of great, because I'd put them in the glam category, right? And there was lots of good stuff with Sweet and Gary Glitter, for the piece of shit that he is, Gary Glitter, right? I mean, there was a lot of that. So yeah, surprisingly, they just didn't get. I think Sweet, Ballroom Blitz, stuff like that is a little more palatable to a general audience than maybe the original versions of Come On Feel the Noise and Mama We're All Crazy Now were, but it's good stuff for me anyway.
Yeah.
All right. I'm doing a twofer because it's two covers on the same record. It's the greatest hits because I don't have the studio albums that either of these are on. But Janis Joplin has two great covers on this. The first one I'll talk about is Me and Bobby McGee. I mean, probably the song everybody knows, I guess, of Janis Joplin. Written by Chris Christopherson, recorded by somebody else whose name escapes me at the moment. But she recorded it, and it was released posthumously, I believe, in 1971, I think, if memory serves correct. And I mean, her version of Me and Bobby McGee is the definitive version. I have had the pleasure of seeing Chris Christopherson perform it live before. And Chris Christopherson's a good dude, seems like a good dude, and he's entertaining, but you can't unhear the Janis Joplin version.
No.
Yeah.
You hear his version, and even though it's his song and he wrote it, you go, that's not what this song is supposed to sound like. So, so there's that. And the other cover that's off of here is a song she did with Big Brother and the Holding Company, which was, I guess her other biggest hit, Piece of My Heart. Was a cover of a song recorded by Irma Franklin, who is Aretha Franklin's sister. And it was recorded in 1957. And I hadn't heard it. I knew it was a cover, but that was all I knew. I didn't know it was Aretha Franklin's sister. So I, again, checked it out on YouTube. And the original is actually really good. It is.
Good night, Declan.
It's a very similar arrangement. Now, Janis's voice, it's like she ate a load of gravel. You know what I mean? It's got that rasp to it, and that it makes the vocal distinctive. But it's the same vocal arrangement, and the Irma Franklin version musically is basically the same. It's a little more, there's a little more of a horn section, and it's a little more swingy, I guess. That's not the right word for it, but I actually like the Irma Franklin version, and it's not that different from Janis's version. So there you go, 2 for 1. Piece of My Heart and Me and Bobby McGee.
I would have had that on here, but I don't have Janis Joplin in my collection.
There you go. I need more Janis Joplin, but unfortunately, that's the only one I have at the moment. So
I've got that, and I've got Pearl. I've got one of the the one that's kind of an animated cover from Big Brother and the Holding Company. I've got that. I appreciate Janice. I just don't know how often she hits my turntable.
Right.
I mean, right? Like, I guess if I had less of a collection, she might more so, but she's down the list for me, but I don't dislike her, if that makes sense.
Every now and then I want to hear it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd like to get Pearl. And the reason I want to get Pearl, being a Canadian music nerd, her band on that album is from Stratford, Ontario.
Yep.
Just
They
down the
are.
road from me. So
Yeah. There you go.
not that makes any difference, but which is also the home of the band. Something in the Water in Stratford, Ontario. I don't know what
Just
it is.
just like Kingston.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me get caught up on a few Christmas cards, a few comments. I got sidetracked reading Dan's comment. Quiet Riot should still get a Christmas card from Slade every year.
And vice versa. But yes,
Sure.
agreed, Dan. Yeah.
Slade got big in '84 and then kind of faded. Status Quo is another big band in the UK, not so much here. Tragically Hip was one that was huge at home here in Canada, but nowhere else. We can name a bunch of others, Blue Road, but I'm not allowed to talk about that band because everyone, certain people ridicule me for it. So, Slade in Flames is a super album.
Yep.
Keep Your Hands on My Power Supply was released in '82 under a different name, and then Quiet Riot kind of opened the door in North America for Slade again. Sammy Hagar also did Piece of My Heart. Yep, for sure.
I like Sammy.
Yeah. I think we got time to go around the horn one more time, and then we want to hear all about Joe's Green Day experience.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That
Cool.
sound good?
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you
I
want,
got one more.
if you want to do rapid fire 2 or 3, by all means, knock yourself out.
Yeah, I got 3 albums plus a 45 left. I'll just
All right.
rapid fire it.
Rapid fire.
All right, so the first one, originally recorded by Stan Jones in 1948, and it was done a whole pile of times. Even Johnny Cash did it, Burl Ives did it, but the Outlaws version of Ghost Riders in the Sky, I think, is fantastic. Probably my favorite, I guess you would call it, country rock type song of all time. I could just put that on repeat. Love that one. And it's haunting too, I guess, to a degree. Then I got a really obscure one. In the early 60s, a one-hit band for another one. And the one that I'm gonna have as the cover is actually less known. But the Left Bank did Walk Away Renee, I think in the early 60s.
Yeah.
And I have a version by a band called Baby Grand, kind of a weird looking cover. But it's more that one's more of a rocks, like 70s hard rock type version. I would strongly recommend checking that out. So the 60s one has the violin and all that kind of stuff in it. That one's a little more heavy. And then in the 80s, a brutal version by a band called I-10, but I love Heart. And Ann and Nancy Wilson's Alone, great song. Never realized it was a cover until about 4 or 5 years ago. And then I heard the I-10 version, which is just abysmal. And then to finish it off, my 45, kind of an obscure band. I'm not even sure where they're from. And that's Indio. But I like Eddie Vedder's version of their song Hard Sun. It's a fantastic song, fantastic version. So yeah, a four song rapid fire there.
Perfect.
Like to hear your thoughts on that.
I think about that Heart song. I didn't know that was a cover either. And if the original I-10 version is so horrible, makes you wonder why they wanted to cover it. Maybe they heard something in it and go, I could do that better.
Yeah. Through
I'm not saying it's not Bob Dylan. We'll put it that way. But it's not great.
Is the guitar? I mean, a big part of Heart is the guitar. So did Nancy really do a much better job on their version? Because I haven't heard the original. I mean, I know.
Yeah, I think what it is that the vocals. I think Ann and Nancy's vocals just make that song.
Cool.
Dan's saying he loves that Baby Grand album. That band became the Hooters in the 80s.
And
who doesn't like Hooters? Just saying.
That's a good album, actually. Maybe they had more than one, but the first Hooters album, yeah, exactly. Richard's
Joe, there's
right.
always two Hooters.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't leave that alone.
No, that's true.
You can't leave Hooters alone, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, you got something?
Yeah, I got one more. And again, it's not necessarily that it's better, but it's a pretty fun version. I was a DJ in the nightclubs in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, and I played the hell out of this song because it came up and was played a lot. And it's Doctor and the Medics. It's Norman Greenbaum's Spirit in the Sky.
Spirit in the Sky. Yep.
It's completely different. I wouldn't say completely, actually, but just, obviously the heavier, more produced, more guitar. And this album, actually, they kind of get written off because it was a cover. They were a one-hit wonders, things like that. This is a good album, actually. I'm not sure if you guys have this or not, but it's worth a listen. Again, if you've got it and you haven't pulled it out for a little bit, but I do bring it out from time to time. It's a pretty decent album. I don't know if they didn't bother, if they tried and nothing happened after this, but they had some other good stuff on here. It's just tough when you have that one monster hit. If you can't get your shit together on the next one, you're just screwed. And maybe they fell into that category, but it's good. I like Norman's version. But this is the one that I've heard way too many times more than the original version, just from playing it night after night in the club. And it always packed the dance floor, but it was a lot of fun too. And again, it's a good album. I don't even know what the hell, Laughing at the Pieces. It's pretty decent. So there you go. If you need a little Doctor in the Medics, there you go. There's that.
Yeah,
That's a great song. I like that song.
It is a good song. Both versions. Yeah, I like
the Norman Greenbaum version better, I think, because
Yeah.
it's the one I heard first, probably.
Yeah.
What is that instrument at the very beginning of the Norman Baum version, Greenbaum version? It's kind of a different sound to it. Is that a guitar?
Yeah,
Does
who knows?
anybody know what that is?
Who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I'd
Kind
have,
of-
to,
it's
I'd have
cool.
to look that one up.
All right, I'm gonna rapid fire this too. I got three here. So the first one, I did not know that this was a cover, and maybe I should be embarrassed. I don't know. Went off the Toys in the Attic big 10-inch record. It's a cover. It was a cover of a song by Bull Moose Jackson in 1952. It was kind of an R&B. It kind of had kind of a swing vibe to it, and kind of a almost big band sound. Is not I'm missing the mark slightly, but definitely not the Aerosmith vibe by any means. And it was a failure for him because in 1950, when he put this song out, it was widely condemned for all the innuendo that's in the song, which is why it perfectly suits Aerosmith, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I mean, arguably one of the first Aerosmith hits, I would say. I don't think any conversation of covers would be complete without talking about one of the biggest covers of the 2000s, Natalie Imbruglia's "Torn." Some folks may not know that it's a cover, and it's kind of a weird cover because originally it was recorded. I'm just got to check my notes here again somewhere. Oh yeah, so in 1995, it was a band from, I want to say, Sweden or somewhere in Scandinavia, a band called Edna Swap wrote and recorded this song, and it's a more rock version than the Torn that everybody knows. But one of the co-writers on the song, his name was Phil Thornley. He actually went on to work with Natalie, and he plays bass on Natalie's version. So it's a cover, but it's recorded with the guy who wrote it and performed on it originally and produced it originally. So it's a cover, mostly. And, a lot of people dismiss this because, this was all over the radio and it's actually not a bad sort of 2000s pop rock record. She's still out there doing stuff today. And might I say, at 50 some odd years old, she's hot as hell. She has aged better than fine wine.
Another example of where is it a cover, not a cover? Walk This Way by Run DMC, which what I was going to do, but Aerosmith's in it. So is it a cover? But yeah, it is because the words change anyway. Sorry, go ahead.
Right, exactly. And the last one, this is, I was telling Joe about this album, and I don't know if you know this one, Daryl, or not. This is all covers. So this is the Trans-Canada Highwaymen. So for those that don't know, which is probably everybody watching, except for maybe Curtis or a couple of our.
Is that K-Tel?
Yeah.
It's not. It's
not.
meant to look
Not.
like it.
Yeah.
So the Trans-Canada Highwaymen is Stephen Page from the Bare Naked Ladies, Chris Murphy from Sloan, Craig Northey from
The Odds.
The Odds, and Mo Berg from The Pursuit of Happiness. So we'll call it a Canadian supergroup because all of those bands in and of their own right are pretty damn successful. So these four guys got together and they tour across Canada, and they're still doing it right now, playing the songs that they respectively wrote as hits when they were, with their bands. All of them are still with their bands except Stephen Page. He fell out with the Bare Naked Ladies years ago. But they put out this album, which is meant to look like a K-Tel record, which K-Tel in Canada was a, as seen on TV, order this record. And what it is it's them covering Canadian radio hits from the 70s. So, you've got them doing Undone by the Guess Who, or Rock Me Gently by Andy Kim, or what's some of the other stuff on here? Make My Life a Little Bit Brighter, or Yumi in Mexico. A lot of songs that were popular on the radio in the 70s. So it's all covers, and it is absolutely awesome. So, Daryl, you would like this because you and I have a lot of similar tastes when it comes to Canadian music. So this is
I'm gonna have to hunt that one down. That's cool.
It only came out like last year, so yeah. I mean it's new, and I thoroughly love it. I wish they would actually put out an album of them doing the songs from the bands which they were a part of. But this is so good.
Yeah, I hope they're going to be around because I didn't not go for any other reason than I just didn't go when they were recently here. Stephen Page was just here actually on the weekend, and again, I was away. I didn't go to that, but that was the impetus of this episode tonight, and I really look forward to it. There's the other one too that I didn't mention, but I'm wearing the Bunny Hug Toque, which is kind of the same. They weren't necessarily a bunch of guys in bands. They were Corey from Shania's band and Todd from Age of Electric and a bunch of other stuff, and then they're in Miles Kennedy. Anyway, they do all the kind of the Western Canadian stuff, and that was a little more Eastern Canadian music that those guys are doing. But that would be such a killer, fantastic bill if you took the Trans-Canada Highwaymen and you put them together. That's all you'd need. That would be perfect. Tuke's playing Toronto. I know you hate going into Toronto, but they're a good show. They're a really good show because it's all Prism and Streetheart and Trooper and Harlequin, and it's all, like I said, it's all the kind of the West Coast stuff that the guys from Tuke grew up with, and it's much like that's what those guys probably grew up with, right? So, yeah.
Look who's watching in the comments. A fellow alumni of the Wednesday night live stream, Jason Arsenault. Man, I wish you were here earlier. You could have joined us. We're wrapping up now. But anytime you want to join us, Jason, by all means, the invitation is always open, my friend. All right, Joe, you've got the floor. You want to dish about your Green Day concert experience and maybe your Metallica concert experience?
Yeah, well, everybody was probably, like I said before, getting tired of me talking about going to Green Day. But now I have actually been, so now I'm going to talk about being at Green Day. And then I'm slipping because I had no idea Metallica was even going to be in Minneapolis when I was there for Green Day. But it worked out perfectly. I kind of overheard these guys talking. What are you going for? I'm going for Green Day. What are you going for? Metallica. And I'm going, what do you mean Metallica? Metallica's in Edmonton the weekend that just finished. They're not in Minneapolis, but sure as hell they were. So Friday night was Mammoth Van Halen, which is Wolfgang Van Halen's band. Really good band, really good songs. the kid's a good guitar player. He's not his dad, but he's a very good guitar player. Really good show. Then it was Pantera, and Pantera was Pantera. No Dimebag, obviously, but Zakk Wylde was playing, and it was pretty good. Everybody thought that was great. And then Metallica, the first set, they played 2 nights, completely different sets for both nights. So, and it's not like they kind of did early stuff one night and then later stuff the next. They really intermingled a bunch of different stuff, and it was really good and great show, great stage, great sound. So that was Friday night, and then Sunday night was Ice Nine Kills, which is a macabre. I don't know how you'd put it. They watched. I think they're Alice Cooper fans, because they got guys with chainsaws on stage, and they're beheading people, and they're doing a bunch of theatrical shit. And they were good. I didn't mind them. I think they would have been much better in a smaller venue. It was at US Bank Stadium, so it was in the Vikings football stadium, which is massive. So it didn't really lend itself to this big, massive stage and their show that I think would have been better. And then it was Five Finger Death Punch, which were good. I'd never seen them before. Again, they've got a couple of cover songs that they're a little more known for, and they were pretty decent. And then the second set of Metallica, you had a lot of stuff from, well, no, again, they didn't really necessarily mix it up. Like Fuel was Friday, and Enter Sandman and One was on Sunday. So it was great. It was like 30 Metallica songs over the 2 nights, and then 4 other really good bands. But the reason that I went to Minneapolis, Joanne and Emily and myself, was Green Day, because I'm a big fan and I've never had a chance to see them. So it is it's the 30th anniversary of Dookie and the 20th anniversary of American Idiot. And then they've got Saviors, the new one that's out. It was 2.5 hours long. I'll start with the other bands quickly. I don't want to take everybody's time up, but I was super excited, and I thought they were just fantastic. But it was the Linda Lindas, which is a young band. And when I say young, no one in the band is over 20. And they were really, really good. They held the crowd pretty decent at a Green Day concert. They were pretty good. Then it was Rancid, and they were great. They were really, really good, actually. And I think it was, if not all the same guys, it was the 2 main guys anyway. And they had their hit songs-ish or whatever, but they were a very energetic and very cool set. Then it was Smashing Pumpkins, and Billy Corrigan was Billy Corrigan-like. He had his big, long black coat on, and he never smiled, and he never talked. He just sang. They introduced themselves about every second song. They said, we're the Smashing Pumpkins. We frickin' know you're the Smashing Pumpkins. I didn't quite get that. But they were good. They did all their hits. They were about an hour or so set.
How long was this friggin' concert? Like 6 hours?
That was 5 till about 11:30. It was something along the lines of that. Yeah. They switched the stages over pretty quickly. It wasn't bad.
I would have shown up just for the Pumpkins and Green Day and fuck the rest of it.
Yeah, Rancid was really good though, and like I say, the Linda Lindas put on a great show, and they had the crowd going. And like the oldest person in the band is 19, the one guitar player, and it's 5 young ladies, I think, out of California. A couple of sisters.
But 6 hours, man, that's a long time. Holy shit!
Yeah, you're the one. Yeah, you'd be okay once you got there. You'd be all right.
I'd have to piss 15 times.
It was comfy. It was in the baseball stadium. It was super nice. We had great seats, kind of the box seats at the stadium there, so it was good. But Green Day was, like I said, it was 2.5 hours. It was 37 songs. It was all of American Idiot from start to finish, all of Dookie from start to finish. It was about half of Saviors. I look over there because it's sitting over there because I just keep putting it on and listening to it. And then all the other hits. Like it's very seldom I go and see a band that's been around for 30 plus years and I walk away and I really can't think of a song that I wanted to hear. Yeah, there was a couple more they could have played, but everything I wanted was there. And for a guy that likes all the pyro and all that, they had that. Like Green Day, I wouldn't have thought that, but they really had a great stage setup. And they went from American Idiot into Jesus of Suburbia, into Holiday, into Boulevard of Broken Dreams. And that is, I said to my wife, I just was enjoying it so much. I said, that might have been the best 4 songs live in a row that I have ever seen. And I've seen a lot of stuff. Billy Joe was fantastic on stage. Trey is fucking believable live. He is as insane as you think he is, but just such a not technical drummer, but just like play and
He's a pocket drummer.
And he just was so good. And Mike was great. The other guys in the band were good, but Billy had everybody singing and dancing. There was at one point, like, okay, when he asks the crowd to jump, the crowd jumps, right? And they kept jumping. Like this friggin' stadium, I'm sure it was meant for it, but even I was going, well, I don't know if this thing's gonna hold, because everybody was losing their mind. It sounded really good. Production was great. The backdrops, they had the big explosion from Dookie. That was the part backdrop. Then they had the fist with the heart, and for part of the time, anything off Saviors, everything turned pink. It was always, you knew it was a Savior song if you didn't already know, because the lighting was pink or whatever. 30,000 or whatever. Everybody was into it because it started off with The American Dream Is Killing Me. Everybody got into it. Everybody stayed into it. It was so good. It's my top 3, and it might be number 1. And I mean, I say that now because it's the most recent, but fuck, I loved it. I thought it was so good. If you're out there and you get a chance, if you're a Green Day fan at all, go. And if you don't think it's good, I'll give you your money back. I'll give you your money back, because they left nothing on the table, man. And it was good. And every note, and it just sounded fantastic. And they were playing it. It wasn't, I say every note sounded really good. It's not because it was recorded. They were playing it. And Billy was just fucking unbelievably good. I shouldn't be swearing because that takes away from it. But
we're swear friendly here. It's all good.
Yeah, I know. I just really, really, really enjoyed it. And again, it's a band that I've been looking forward to seeing for forever, and they did not disappoint in any way, shape, or form.
I told you this when we were talking offline. My best friend went and saw them the week before when they were in Toronto.
Yeah.
And so 2 things to mention. The night before the Green Day show, my buddy Blake was at the Molson Amphitheater to see Sammy Hagar. And Blake's sitting there in one of the boxes. They're not boxes. They're just a group of seats that have a little rail around them. So that, whatever. So he's sitting in this box, and he looks over, and 2 chairs over from him is Trey Cool. And so my buddy's texting me going, do I say hi? I go, you fucking better.
Yeah.
So in between songs, he leans over, he says, Trey, I'm sorry to bother you. Massive fan. Any chance I can get a picture? He said Trey was just the nicest guy in the world. He's like, yeah, man, come on over. And so I got a picture, and he got to meet Trey. Only took a few seconds of his time because didn't want to detract from the concert. And then Blake went and saw Green Day the next night and basically said everything that you said. It was so incredible. And it was so good, in fact, that Blake is now going to Buffalo to see them next week. So
I honestly thought about, looking to see somewhere else to go, because it would be the same, but it was good. It was really, really good. And again, it had all the stage shit. Like my favorite concert I'll probably say is Paul McCartney. Now there's not a whole bunch of stuff other than Live and Let Die. And I love all that stuff. And it had all of that. But at the same time, just Billy and the rest of the band and the crowd was really good. And it was a beautiful night. It was open air and the baseball stadium. It sounded good. It was just like the whole thing was just, and I was with Joanne and Emily, and they enjoyed the hell out of it as well. Yeah, it was just, it was really, really, really good. So if you get a chance, go and see Green Day.
They're probably not coming anywhere near where Daryl lives, I would imagine. So
no, I'd love to go see Green Day though. That the last concert I ever went to was an Incubus concert when I lived in Windsor. The only reason I went is because I had just met my wife. Actually, she was going to the concert, and I was like, "Well, I don't want you going over to Detroit by yourself to watch this Incubus concert." And 30 Seconds to Mars was the opening band. I love 30 Seconds, but man, Incubus, I can't stand them. Yeah, but I only did it for safety. I was trying to be the macho boyfriend, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's good.
But when it comes to Green Day, funny story about Green Day, I actually still can't fathom that it's a Dookie's 30 years old.
I know.
Yeah, I just can't believe that.
Yeah.
When I was in grade 10, I won the shop award in my high school, the construction award. And the award was it was like a $20 gift certificate to this local convenience store in my town. And I bought Dookie 30 years ago
Yeah.
with a high school award that I got. So
Right
kind of cool memory there.
That's awesome. Yeah, even
Green Day is amazing.
Trey even came out and did I'm All By Myself. Like he put on this stupid ass robe and it was just him with the mic. I'm all by myself and he's dancing around. It was really, really, really good. Really good.
Well, that's good.
You talk about seeing Trey talk about seeing Trey randomly, your buddy there. That happened to me. I was flying home from university one summer and me and my sister, we were coming back to Windsor. We were sitting in the Winnipeg airport and Biff Naked was sitting right beside my sister.
No shit.
Yeah. And I just we didn't get any pictures or anything. We didn't have cell phones or anything, but it was the weirdest thing ever, just sitting there and Biff Naked's right there.
I like Biff.
And
he's cool.
You know,
she seemed kind of cool too.
I used to fly all the time for work. Like for a good 10 years, I was on an airplane every 2 to 3 weeks, flying all over North America and coming back to Toronto, obviously, because I live near here, which is the busiest airport in Canada. It's sort of the entry point for a lot of, but I never once saw a famous person ever on a plane. And I just, I'm like, or in the airport, never, nothing, never. Oh, well.
Go see Green Day and the other bands. Like the other bands were really good as well. Go see Green Day or Metallica, because if you get a chance to see that show and you're a Metallica fan, that's really good as well. That 2-day set with the 2 different openers each night and stuff. So yeah, I saw 9 bands in 3 days. It was great. I loved it.
Well, gentlemen, we're past the 2-hour mark, so I'll do what I normally do. At the end of one of these streams, we'll go around the horn and you can say whatever you want to say, promote your channel, talk about if you put a video out you want folks to hear about, or if you got something in the works you want to tell folks about, please do. Daryl, since you're our honorary guest, what do you got?
Well, thanks for having me on the show for sure. This is actually my first live thing I've done.
Well, we're honored. Thank you.
Yeah.
Prior to this, I used to do up here in Moosonee. We used to actually have a radio station until the tower went down. So I've done some live stuff, but it's been pre-COVID since I did it. As for my own channel, if you're new to my channel, I've been around. I did my first video on January 1st. It was Rob Walker's
vinyl tag.
What is that? The vinyl tag there?
Yep.
And I try to focus on Canadian music whenever I can with my channel, and I'm building up my collection as much as I can. Because I'm back to work with school, over the summer I was putting out 2 or 3 videos a week. I'm trying to aim for like maybe a Saturday and a Tuesday video or something like that. But I have some ideas in the works of where I want to go. One of the things I want to do, I kind of have an unusual second hobby, which is board games. And what I want to try to do, actually, I got one right here. Just give me 1 sec. This might be the coolest board game I have. It's actually called Vinyl, the board game.
Cool.
So what I might do as part of just a 2-minute video every now and again is to pair a song off of a record that I think would pair well with, if you're playing this board game, what would it be? I have a series of board games called Ticket to Ride. Thought about just showing a Beatles thing, that kind of thing, or if I had it, Quad City DJs with the Ride the Train. So I don't know. I've got some ideas in the works. Not sure exactly where it's going, but it's been good, and but I guess just check out my channel, Northern Vinyl Guy, and subscribe if you haven't, and go from there.
Well, we're glad to have you, Daryl. I've been subscribed since probably the second week of January, so I think I was probably like subscriber number 6 or 7, something like that. But what I loved about your channel is you and I have a lot of similarities in the fact that I've been trumpeting the Canadian music flag here for the last 3 years, and I'm glad that someone else is saying the same things that I'm saying, so that it's not like I'm this crazy obsessed idiot. You know what I mean? Like there's someone else that sort of feels the same way. So I love that.
I'm still kicking myself that Tuesday's Child there, Amanda Marshall, that I didn't hold off for that blue one that you're talking about. You know what? I saw it when I was in Windsor. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to get out anytime soon. I just got to grab this one.
I
should have waited.
I pre-ordered it because I knew it was coming. So, but
yeah,
how great that album is finally on vinyl. So,
yeah. One other album that I'd like to champion before we go around here is I don't know if any of you are fans of Glass Tiger, but they just did a few years ago. It's called, I think it's like just an EP, I think you would call it. I think there's maybe 8 songs on it, but it's called 33. I think the music's great. Like he still sounds, even though he had that vocal thing there. Check it out if you haven't checked out some of the new Glass Tiger. I don't think they've missed too much of a beat.
You'd be surprised.
I'm a huge Glass Tiger fan, but
I've mentioned Glass Tiger before, and all the Americans that were watching went, "Who the hell is Glass Tiger?"
They were just here on the weekend too. They were at Shake the Lake, which is another little festival that we have here in Regina. I was away, I didn't go, but I heard good things that they sounded fine and they were good, so that's good.
The only Glass Tiger record I have is the 45 with the picture sleeve for "Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone," which has backing vocals by Joe's favorite musician, Bryan Adams.
That's right. Because if they can't play a Bryan Adams song, they play that friggin' Glass Tiger song.
Exactly. So
okay, quick. I don't have much going on my channel, but we're gonna do some
talk
stuff
about the store then.
So let's promote that. Yeah, I've got the record store going. I have got everything kind of sorted of the last big collection that I bought. I think I need to buy another collection because it's almost like an addiction. It's a habit. I need to get some new stuff, but I've got to get that cleaned and get that out. But the store's been good. I think it'll pick up. University coming back in. A lot of university students have kind of gotten into the hobby, for lack of the proper term. So looking forward to that once they get back in town. And just into the fall, and I think it'll be good and it'll be busy. I have this Billy Talent autographed album, and it is on a Vinyl Storage Solutions sleeve. So if you're going to get something autographed, it was just sitting here, but this is a Vinyl Storage Solutions sleeve. If you're going to get something autographed, you should.
And where would you get those sleeves from, Joe?
What you do is you go to vinylstoragesolutions.ca and you use what is it? Northern 10, I believe.
Northern 10, yeah.
Northern 10 is what you put in, and you get yourself 10% off your inners and your outers. And they've got new stuff coming out. They've got lots of great product. And if you put in Northern 10, you get 10% off. So there you go.
There you go.
I actually bought these 45 sleeves that they have. They're really good. No, they've got really good and fast shipping.
Yeah.
Yes,
oh, yeah. It's like the day. I mean, they're out of Winnipeg, but stuff comes to Regina in a day anyway. But
did you use the promo code?
Sure did.
Yeah, absolutely. See, thank you. I probably made about 17 cents commission on that. So thank you.
That's right. Yeah. But other than the store, like I said, you and I have a few things coming up. We're doing this Wednesday gig, which is fun. Yeah. I don't know if are we going to do a Canada part?
Well, 4? I was just going to mention that since we have Daryl on here, we have done 2 of them, haven't we? I think, Joe.
Well, there was 2. Well, there was 3, but 2 were like because it went long, so you split it up. Right?
So I do like a monthly thing. Canadians talking about Canadian music, and there's a various assortment of people. Love if you would join us on the next episode, Daryl. We're trying to plan it in the next maybe 2 weeks or so. There's usually 5 or 6 of us. Various Canadians across the world.
A podcast or like a YouTube video thing?
No, it's a YouTube video. So what I do, we get on and we talk for an hour and a half or so, or the last one was actually like 2.5 hours. So I split it up into 2 episodes. But I just record it and then publish it on my channel. And Joe's usually on it, and myself and Curtis from Young LP Lovers, and Brian from Embryonic Robot, and Chris from Stylus Meets Vinyl, and Peter from Music is a Journey, who lives in Tokyo or somewhere in Japan. We're all Canadians, and we just sort of talk about Canadian music that we love. You'd be perfect for it if you're interested, man.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely interested for that. You're definitely going to see some Anne Murray. I don't know
There
what
you
it is.
go.
I like Anne Murray.
I was just gonna say maybe that's what the next one is, the ladies of Canadian music, because
I
there's
like
lots.
that.
There's lots actually. You don't think there is, and then you start to think about it, and there is. And I have no problem with Anne. She was the same manager. She had the same manager as Alice Cooper, Shep Gordon.
There you go.
Useless shit in my head.
There you go. I'll round it out by sort of recapping what I've been doing. Sam St. John, did a live stream with me yesterday at noon while I was on my lunch break. We talked about everything surrounding the Oasis reunion, which Sam and I are beyond excited about. And we were very thankful to have Rob Walker from Manchester. Rob Walker, Let the Music Play, the guy that does the vinyl tag every year. He joined us for the last half because I'm grateful to get the Manchester local perspective. So check that out. It's on my channel. I don't remember what the video that I did this week was. Oh, it was 6 tips for new record collectors, and that's actually taken off like a rocket. So that was kind of fun. Not sure what I'm going to do this week, but I'll have something up on Sunday morning as I always do. So that's kind of it. Thank you guys for joining me. Joe, as always. Daryl, thank you for joining us, man. You were great. I hope you had some fun. To all the folks in the comments, thank you for spending some time with us this evening. We really much appreciate it. To recap what I said off the top, Alex and Sam have retired from the live stream because they're both busy with work. So Joe and I will be here every week. Maybe Daryl will join us. We'll see how we round out the rest of the cast, but we will continue on, and I hope that you'll stay with us. So thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And thanks everybody for watching. We will see you next Wednesday.
Thanks,
Cheers.
guys.
Take care.